And thank you for being here to those in person and for those who are watching us live streaming. I will ask our board secretary to take a roll and establish a quorum.
Thank you. President Craighead.
Here.
Member Benitez.
Here.
Member Lopez.
Present.
Member Miller.
Here.
And I don't see Mr. Otto. Student Member Aguilar.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Now I will invite our student representative, Miss America Martinez from Cabrillo, to lead us in the pledge.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
For those of you present in the room, the board appreciates and supports community input at our meetings. During the meeting, there will be time for public to comment on matters on the agenda and matters not on the agenda. For those who have not already submitted a request, we have provided forms by where the board secretary is. If you wish to speak during the meeting, please fill out a form now indicating your name and the agenda item you wish to address. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's agenda. The board took action on the following items. Item 3.1, confidential student matters. Pursuant to California Education Code 35146, the board voted 5-0 to expel 2 students. The first student, ID number 7206, is expelled in compliance with the Education Code section 48915C2 and will be placed in another school district. The second student, ID number 3587, is expelled in compliance with Education Code section 48915C2 and is recommended to be considered for a suspended expulsion with an opportunity to attend another school within the district. Both students will be eligible to apply for readmission after January 24th, 2025. In item 3.2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, the board voted 5-0 to approve a settlement agreement in the case listed on the agenda. Adoption of the agenda. Before we adopt the agenda, I would like to pull item number 13 from 14.6 on the consent calendar. That's part of the business report, or business department report, I should say. So we need a motion.
So moved. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, second.
Okay.
Discussion.
Would you like me to?
You just wanted to see what, just give me a chance to look for the item that we're pulling.
Oh, okay.
You said item 13,
Yes,
President?
item
Craighead?
13.
This is a Heritage Empowered item?
It's a rejection of a claim from the
okay.
Business Department report.
Okay, thank you. I just
I'll
wanted to
second
clarify.
that.
Oh, you have, yes.
So you motion to move that?
Well,
I think I had seconded, and I was just asking for discussion.
Okay.
yes.
I'll confess, I moved it.
Okay. Ms. Lopez, did you have something else?
Yes, I'd like to move consent item, item 14.9 from the consent calendar.
Okay. And so it's my understanding you'd like that for a separate vote?
A separate vote. Yes,
Okay.
please.
So we will move item 14.9, and we will vote on that after the consent calendar B, which would be item 15.1. So we are voting on the agenda as amended. Would anybody like more clarification on that?
Just clarification, we're pulling number 13 from item 14.6 in the Business Department report, and then we're pulling
Yes.
item 14.9 from the consent calendar entirely and voting on that as a separate item?
Yes, voting on that after consent calendar B.
Got it.
Yes, thank you. And I will ask our board secretary to take a roll call.
Madam President,
Yes,
with the additional change, you need a new motion and a second for
we
the
need a
additional
new
change.
motion with those amendments.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I move to, do you want to do this first one, Doug? Or do you want me to do it? I move to approve the agenda as amended for item number 13, agenda item 14.6.
Do we need two separate motions, or we could do it all in one motion?
If the board wants to make a motion and second it and vote on the amendment, they can. You can.
So we can include both amendments in one single
Correct.
motion?
And pulling item 14.9 from the consent calendar and adding that after consent calendar B.
Thank you.
Second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? And now I'll have our board secretary take a roll call vote.
President Craighead,
Aye.
Member Benitez,
Aye.
Member Lopez,
Aye.
Member Miller,
Aye.
Member Otto,
Aye.
and Student Member Aguilar preferential vote.
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you. And now we will introduce our student representative, America, once again. And the floor is yours. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Baker, board members, fellow JAGs, and LBUSD guests. Thank you for all having me here. My name's America Martinez. It is such an honor to be here representing Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo High School as the ASB president. I want to give a special shout out to people who have come to support me today, as well as family members and friends that may be watching this now or later. I would especially like to take the time to thank everyone who made it possible for me to be standing in front of you as a graduating class of 2024. I attended Washington Middle School and currently at Cabrillo High School. I'm in the Cal J Pathway, California Academy of Law and Justice. I am currently the ASB president, link crew member, president of the volleyball club, and co-captain of the girls' varsity volleyball team. Our school kicked off exciting activities on our campus this school year, including Senior Sunrise, Homecoming, Fair, Dance, school-wide pep rallies, picnics, blood drive, winter formal, connection weeks, holiday project, pathway competitions, Latino-Latina Hispanic Heritage Month, Filipino history, LGBTQ plus history, Dia de los Muertos, Las Posadas, Native American Heritage Month, Lunar New Year, and we are currently celebrating Black History Month. Our school celebrates diversity and fosters an inclusive environment where students from different backgrounds can learn and grow together. This diversity enriches the educational experience at Cabrillo High School and prepares students to thrive in an interconnected world. We'd like to cordially invite our community to attend LBUSD Black Family Listening event at Cabrillo this Friday at 6 p.m. and then attend our Black History Show at 7 p.m. this Friday. This year, our school theme is Cultivating Joy, and that is something our community strives to embody each and every day. At our school, we have 4 amazing pathways on our campus. AGL, Cabrillo's Academy of Global Logistics, is connected with a wide range of community partners, including the Port of Long Beach and Cal State Long Beach. This year, half of our AGL 11th graders took a LBCC Business Dual Enrollment course during the regular school day and received both high school and college credit. AGL students are connected to business professionals, expand their business knowledge, and analyze the acquisition of goods. AGL students network working with professionals around the world that help them foster connections for internship, college, and career. Moving on, Cabrillo's Academy of Law and Justice strongly builds a sense of community. Subtle brag about CalJ. Cabrillo is the only school in the city to partner with the LA Superior Court to run a teen court program in our courtroom located on our campus. It serves as a functioning courtroom with actual judges and cases in which it allows our students to interrogate and be part of the jury. This year, students have and will be taking field trips to the LA Superior Court, Loyola Law School, Fox Studios, Long Beach Courthouse, and USC Law School. CED, Cabrillo Engineering and Design, embodies the definition of a family. CED students are provided with opportunities to network with professionals for a career aligned with STEM. We have an active robotics team, TARC, our rocketry team, drone soccer team, and Cyber Patriot cybersecurity team. CED will be hosting its 10th annual Women in STEM event on Friday, March 8th on our campus. SACMA, Specialist Academy of Computer, Media, Arts, and Animation, is designed for students who have a passion for animation, digital art, and computer media. This program allows students to have complete their A through G requirements while continually developing their skills within one of two strands, animation or digital art. Annually, students attend the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in LA, as well as visit local talent such as the LA Museum and Getty Museum. One of the standout features of Cabrillo High School is its dedicated and experienced faculty. The teachers at Cabrillo are passionate about their subjects and are committed to helping students succeed both academically and personally. They create a supportive and nurturing learning environment that encourages our students to reach their full potential. A special shout out to our new principal, Ms. Nguyen, and our assistant principal, Ms. Itson, which they have elevated and uplifted our Jaguar spirit, as well as cultivate joy in everything they do around our campus, as well as many other staff and faculty members which have contributed to our success this year. Cabrillo High School also values extracurricular activities and believes in the holistic development of its students. The school offers a variety of clubs, sports teams, and performing arts programs, allowing students to explore their passions and develop valuable skills outside of the classroom. From athletics to theater, there is something for everyone at Cabrillo High School. Shout out to our boys basketball team and Coach Chris Spencer, who made history. They had the most wins in one season and made it to the second round of CIF playoffs for the very first time in Jaguar history. Our entire West Side community came out to support our Jags. Our boys water polo team, along with Coach Lawrence Durand, set a record with most wins in the season, had the longest win streak in program history, and made it to the CIF semifinals this fall. Our talented boys soccer team and Coach Pat Noyes made it to the CIF playoffs and also moved up to Division I this year. Coming fresh off of Moore League Championship and CIF Championship, our badminton team, along with Coach Rushin Galima, is rejuvenated and ready to bring home another Moore League title this year. In addition to its academic and extracurricular offerings, Cabrillo High School places a strong emphasis on community involvement and service. The school encourages students to give back to their community through volunteer work and service projects. This commitment to community engagement instills in students a sense of responsibility and empathy, preparing them to be active and compassionate members of society. Furthermore, Cabrillo High School has a strong college and career guidance program. The school has dedicated counselors who work closely with students to help them explore their post-secondary options and navigate the college application process. Whether students plan to pursue higher education or enter the workforce directly, our wonderful College and Career Center program provides the necessary support and guidance to ensure our success. In conclusion, Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo High School in Long Beach is a distinguished educational institution that combines academic excellence with a commitment to holistic development. With its dedicated faculty, diverse student body, and extensive resources, Cabrillo High School prepares students for success in college, career, and beyond. It is a place where students can thrive academically, explore their passions, and make a positive impact on their community. And remember, it's all about success in the West. Go Jags. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, don't leave just yet. Are there supporters from Cabrillo you'd like to introduce to us?
Yes, it's our principal, Ms. Nguyen. She came to support. And then I also see some familiar faces here in the crowd. Over there, yeah.
Okay, great. And did you mention that you were a senior?
Yes, I am this year.
Okay, so we generally like to ask our seniors what their plans are for next year.
As college admissions are coming out, I plan to attend UC Davis and pursue my my dream in radiology technician. Yes.
Fabulous. Well, we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
And actually, before you go, we need to do pictures. So if you'll join
Yes.
us over here, we'll do some pictures. It's always wonderful to hear from our students. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have 10.1. We have a report about Measure E, Measure K, and Measure Q from the the Citizens Oversight Committee. Yeah. And I believe we have Michael Bishop here to speak about that and give us that report. Welcome, Mr. Bishop.
Good evening. Board President Craighead, board members, Superintendent Baker, Long Beach Unified staff, and community members. My wife worked for LA Unified. My name is Michael Bishop, and I'm pleased to present the Citizens Oversight Committee annual report for the prior fiscal year. I've been a member of this committee for over 4 years, yet this is the first time I've had the opportunity to be the chair of the committee, thus I'm presenting the report. Our group meets quarterly and reviews expenditures, financial statements, staff reports, including periodic site visits for capital improvement projects financed through the district's various bond measures. The bond program continues to be recognized for its outstanding accountability, and this year the independent auditors awarded the district's program, their highest performance rating, that would be their opinion, for the 11th consecutive year. In the 2022-23 fiscal year, LBUSD completely renovated 3 school sites, launched campus-wide repairs at 4 others. Jordan High School's multi-year transformation reached a critical milestone with the completion of a new classroom building that features 14 classrooms equipped with modern technology, a simulation lab for schools aspiring medical professionals, and instructional spaces for special education students. The project also includes an outdoor corridor with seating, covered canopies, and a new lunch shelter. Several campuses will see significant upgrades in the next few years, including new air conditioning systems at schools without HVAC, thanks to the district's accelerated Measure E timeline. The COC will carefully review expenditures for these projects and all projects funded by Measure Q, the district's new bond measure. This report includes projected project level highlights, key bond program facts, figures, and short stories on the upcoming major project efforts in the district. In accordance with Proposition 39 requirements, the report will also be posted on the bond's website, lbschoolsbonds.net. lbschoolbonds.net. On behalf of all COC members, also including Pamela Williams, Osvaldo Avila, Steve Davis, Raul Neria, and Rebecca Tarantine, we thank you for your commitment to creating the modern school environments the district students need to succeed. It is our honor to serve on the COC. And you should have the report at your place. Yes.
We do. Thank you. Well, thank you for your service. I know that that's a volunteer position.
Yes, it is.
So thank you for serving on that committee.
Yes.
And representing them here. And I think it's remarkable that 11 years we've been given the highest rating for those bonds. So thank you to everyone who makes that possible. Okay. Do we have any questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too. Next, we have our student, staff, and school celebrations. So let's direct our attention to the screens.
So GUSA stands for Gender Sexuality Alliance. At Cabrillo, it's just basically a safe place, more specifically for people from the LGBT community.
It gives me something to kind of look forward to when I come to school, in a way like, oh, it's Wednesday, I get to come to GSA, I get to see friends. It's a nice place to take a load off of like everything else that's happening outside of the classroom.
I like to make connections with people, meet new people, you know, and I guess showing my pride. When there's not representation and you don't see people who are like you tend to feel out of place. It gives me a sense of safety.
It's important that everyone feels like they have a place to belong. In the long run, it could definitely help with inclusivity on campuses.
And I'd just like to mention that our videos highlight our mission and vision for the district, and they are also available online if you ever want to go back and check for those videos. Okay, next on the agenda, we have public testimony, and I know that everybody's been given instructions, so I won't repeat those instructions. And I know that we have people in the overflow room, so what I'll do is I will call 2 people at a time, and that way we know, or you know, that you're up next, and hopefully that'll save a little time. Okay, so we will start with items listed on the agenda, and we'll start with Trinita Renfro and then Alyssa Lasan.
Good evening. Good evening, Board President, board members, and community. I am Trinita Renfro. I am the CSCA Chief Job Steward. I would like to address item number 14.3 on the agenda: reductions, layoffs, and abolishments of positions. I ask that you do not approve this on the agenda because classified employees should have preference over contractors within our district. Please take in consideration we are supposed to be the district of excellence and equity. Members have shown a high level of consistency with the success of our students, also have shown their loyalty to the district. By taking jobs away from members and continuing to utilize contractors, this is not a fair practice, and I please ask you to reconsider.
Thank you. After Alyssa, we have April.
Good evening. My name is Alyssa Lasan, employee number E0015150006. This is my 28th year in this amazing school district. My son graduated from Millikan in 2022. My daughter is a freshman at Millikan, proud class of 2027. I have taught some of your kids. I have worked alongside some of you teaching and volunteering. You have interviewed my child for a district presentation as COVID took us into a very hard place. I have put my heart and soul into these students and this job. I hold a very important, essential position in this district. At my position as instructional aid computer resources, I have worked at Willard, Prisk, Longfellow, McKinley, Gant, the TRC, and Millikan. I have taught for 18 years in elementary, and I have now worked 9 years in high school. I have worked with thousands of students, faculty, and staff. I am an intricate part of the daily student life at Millikan and any school I've been at. Every year, this position is on the chopping block due to funding, and I'm not sure why, as we rely more on computers today than any other point in my last 28 years. This year, my position is being abolished again. It is on your agenda tonight to approve to end this position at Millikan. This position has the ability to work with or have a hand with each and every student. Not many positions can boast that, yet they are funded. As computer resources, I cover a wide range of everything. Currently at Millikan, I service over 3,400 students, over 4,000 Chromebooks, SBAC and CAS testing, SAT testing, AP testing, as everything is going digital. Website management, school site address books, textbook attendant, and really whatever else is thrown my way, because I am there for the betterment of the school, staff, but most importantly, the students. Why isn't this a full-time funded position? Why can't this be a funded position that isn't paid for by LCFF funds, PTAs, or foundations? Why isn't this position at every comprehensive high school? I come to you tonight and ask you to look at what this will do if this position is gone. Please ask questions and see who will be affected before you just approve to abolish this position. I am fighting for my job, an essential job, but I am fighting for this position as I have for the last 28 years. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And after April, we have Jessica Mesa.
Good evening, board members. My name is April Acuna, and I am speaking to you on item 14.3 as one of our district's behavior intervention supervisors and a board certified behavior analyst. A few weeks ago, several team members and myself were called into a meeting and explained that our positions would be eliminated in the coming school year. While this came as a surprise, I was more surprised by the lack of understanding of what our role actually entails. As supervisors, we directly oversee behavior programming with a behavior analytic approach and utilize evidence-based practices to develop strategies for behavior change over time. We do this with one goal in mind: to help our students achieve equitable access to their education. We spend countless hours in classrooms modeling behavior strategies to fidelity and teach the correct methods for application. We produce hands-on materials for teachers so that their curriculum can be modified to an appropriate level to meet the needs of an IEP. We are first responders when students leave the school unattended. We conference with general ed and special ed teachers over the classroom management strategies that can be best for the group. We act as liaisons between contracted agencies and the district personnel in order to advocate on behalf of our students for a least restrictive environment. We conduct campus trainings on the fundamentals of applied behavioral analysis and provide workshops for developing effective behavior plans. We directly and indirectly supervise behavior intervention services on students' IEPs. The list of duties goes on. Because like many roles, ours is multifaceted and very valuable to the success of our students. But all of this does not matter, because the proposal to eliminate our positions was simply about the numbers, so we were told. So let's highlight some of those numbers. Between the dismissed individuals, we serve 22 schools and directly or indirectly provide services of upwards to 192 students. In the last year, I've completed 22 assessments and attended up to 3 IEPs per student. These numbers don't even account for the numbers of data analysis and real-time data taken. When we asked what the plan was to fill this need, we were told there was no plan. We were told that the school psychs or counselors could do our jobs. We boast equity and inclusion in Long Beach, yet move forward without a solid plan to meet the needs of at least 192 students that we know of. All of what needs to be accomplished with our students cannot be achieved without an effective team of support that is fulfilled by our behavior intervention supervisors. We are tasked with addressing behavior concerns through a lens that adheres to an ethical code of conduct, and above all, to do no harm. Yet, as a district, we are comfortable putting students at risk of experiencing long-term effects from unskilled or untrained individuals who apply inappropriate behavior interventions. Eliminating our positions is eliminating the potential for many students to access equitable education, and I do believe we should be doing better. Thank you.
Thank you. After Jessica, we have Rachel.
Hi, my name is Jessica Mesa, and I'm here to address Section 4.3 in regards to layoff. I was born in Long Beach, California, and went to Cal State Long Beach and have worked at LBUSD for almost 14 years. Because it was always my desire to work in the school setting, assisting children to best access their education. I was once a behavior intervention assistant, and went back to school, gained my master's in special education with an emphasis in applied behavior analysis, and passed my board exam to become a board certified analyst in hopes that I could remain and gain a position as a behavior intervention supervisor at LBUSD, which I did. I have felt a great deal of loyalty to my students and LBUSD working here, and I can't believe that this is potentially going to be taken away from us due to a budget cut. Not because there's a lack of need for behavior intervention supervisors, as behavior continues to be a primary concern not only in special education, but with all students at LBUSD. We were told as a group that the remainder behavior intervention supervisor would be spread to pick up our job duties. We were also told that other staff like psychologists, social workers, or counselors could be doing our work. But it is also known that psychologists may be laid off, and at my particular site, our psychologist has not been present since September for our specific school site students. We don't have a counselor and we don't have a social worker. Besides, expecting one person to do two jobs is not right. One job should be enough. Non-district contracted agency staff will continue to do the same work we do next school year, as services legally will remain in IEPs. Having agency behavior supervisors sometimes poses ethical matters in which services must be offered to continue to have a job or contract at LBUSD. It is known that at the same time that colleagues and myself who are board certified behavior analysts were being told that we likely would not have a school assignment next school year because of budget cuts, other board certified behavior analysts were being interviewed for hire through agency for this school year. This has literally disheartened me, as I have felt such pride in providing proper support to those students in need based on my expertise. These layoffs may cut expenses now, but in the long run may cost more, as the investment, quality, commitment, and loyalty of work for students may no longer be there in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. After Rachel, we have Katie Bowser.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Rachel, and I'm a special ed teacher, and I've been with the district for 20 years. This is my first time speaking, and I'd like to speak on agenda item 14.3, the abolishment of the behavior intervention supervisor position. I do teach in a special day class and have been my entire career here, and I have worked alongside district behavior therapists and supervisors, as well as contracted behavior therapists and supervisors, and I can tell you there is a dramatic difference in the quality of personnel that we receive from the contracted agencies versus our district staff. Our district staff are more invested, they're more trained in the Long Beach way, and they just get the job done at way different caliber. The contracted staff who are coming in have no experience in special ed, and we're lucky if they get to watch a YouTube video on the principles of a behavior analysis before they come to our classroom. So we're having to spend a lot of extra time in addition to what we're doing to train these staff that should be already trained, given that we're paying for their contracted agency. I have a specific incident that happened this year that I'd like to share. I do have a student that has some pretty severe behaviors and was becoming self-injurious to himself. I was trying to work I was trying to work with his contracted staff in order to keep the student safe, and it was unsuccessful. He was safe with me, but not with the contracted staff. I invited our district supervisor to come and help. He was safe with her, but not with the contracted staff, and we tried over and over to help. We then invited the contracted supervisor to come out with that therapist, and on that day, when that student was alone with the contracted supervisor and the contracted therapist, he injured himself 3 times. That doesn't happen with district people. So that's just to point out the difference of quality. So I really implore this board to please hold on to our district trained behavior and analysts. We need them. As a TALB rep and a TALB board member, I hear from everyone across the district that they are concerned with behavior. That is one of the top concerns, is student behavior. So I really implore you to hang on to our district supervisors. They know what they're doing. And maybe we can let go of the contracts. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. After Katie, we have Nicole.
I am here to speak on item 10.1. My name is Katie Bowser. Your board has already violated the Brown Act this evening. Government Code Section 54956.7 says you're supposed to hear public comment before or during an item is considered by your board. You already took up and heard the report on 10.1 without giving anyone an opportunity to speak on it. We are concerned that the bond funds are not being spent or overseen properly. That concern arises out of information related to the proposed renovation plan at Gant Elementary, which is bond funded. Parents were told in November that it was cheaper to bus 3rd through 5th grade to another campus rather than bring portables to the Gant campus. When asked for the cost of setting up a separate school site, for example, busing costs, cafeteria costs, additional staff costs, etc., all we were given in response to a Public Records Act was an estimate from one busing company for $1.75 million to bus the children. We were told there were no other records. Was only one informal bid via email obtained? What are the costs of the other things? How much would it be to get portables, knowing that even if they couldn't be rented for a school year, they could be purchased and reused at other sites to alleviate the need to bus other students or to replace old portables on other campuses? Was there a full cost-benefit analysis done? Was an analysis of educational health and mental health of the children and families done? Was any of that presented to this board, to the Citizens Oversight Committee? Who made those ultimate decisions? The bond requires these projects to be approved by the board, not staff. All of this goes towards the legitimacy of the spending of bond funds. This is public money, and in just this one example, there appear to be many egregious problems with how the monies are handled and how decisions were made. We as the public and the parents of the affected kids are entitled to all of these details and entitled under the bond language to have a seat at the table on how best to spend these funds. Busing our kids 45 to 60 minutes daily for an entire school year isn't the right choice, economically or for the children and families' well-being. The bond expenditures and issues need to be closely reviewed by a professional, independent, who will report thoroughly and honestly to the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Nicole?
evening. I'm more here for moral support of the Gant community as well. We were here 2 weeks ago, so I actually don't have anything prepared because our plan is just to keep coming. We understand that everything is being looked at, but we don't hear anything back. And I think it's very frustrating. I have to thank Katie Bowser for doing just so much research and with our support of pushing her that this is important to our kids and our family and our everyday lives next year, because it doesn't just impact, their school year next year. There might be a lot of changes and people going to different schools, and we chose, many of us chose this neighborhood to choose this school, and we want answers, and we want the bungalows to be looked at. Like she said, 1.75 million. We got those records. If we were actually given a quote at the November 2nd meeting, which was the first time, not the first time we heard that something was going to happen in the 2024 school year, but it was the first time that we heard that it was a relocation, an interim housing of our children, that the bungalows would be up to 100 grand, 6 figures per bungalow. But that's all the information that David had given us. We've done the math, and that still comes back as less expensive than the busing system and having 2 administrations on 2 different campuses. So we want the proper review. We've been ignored. Even last or 2 weeks ago, my daughter spoke. I was very proud of her as an 8-year-old, along with her friend. And they're feeling this because they're hearing us talk about it, and it's adult issues that they shouldn't be brought into, but they are, and they're learning from this. They are very smart children, and that's due to this Gant community. My husband spoke, and he even asked, because he talked to David in the spillover room, he asked for some sort of comment from him that they were looking into, or just, anything. I mean, we've gotten nothing. And when he asked you guys if you could at least tell us if this was a final, plan, and you said that you couldn't even respond a yes or no, which that's not correct. You can confirm a statement. You just can't make comment as far as we understand of the Brown Act. So we're pleading. We've got a lot of people out. I know it's a little bit different tonight than 2 weeks ago when we were here, but we appreciate the time, and we really want to hear, we want to hear back, and we want to be heard. So thank you.
Thank you. We will hear public testimony on items not listed on the agenda. We should have time for everybody, and the same parameters apply, 30 minutes, 3 minutes each. We will start with Jerlene Tatum, and then De Janeiro after Jerlene.
Good evening, Jerlene Tatum, LBUSD parent, LBUSD alum, and LB Long Beach taxpayer. When I last addressed the board in September 2023, in my message to those running for re-election, I said, please walk the path of excellence and integrity. Please hold yourself to a standard of excellence that you would expect our children to do if they were in the classroom. Clearly that fell on deaf ears. February 8th, 2024, LB Post by Jason Ruiz. School board members had taxpayer-funded staff fill out political campaign questionnaires. 2 LBUSD board members recently had the district superintendent help them complete questionnaires for their re-election campaigns, something experts say violates California's prohibition on elected officials using public assets for political purposes. Last month, school board members Eric Miller and Doug Otto, who are both running for re-election in the March 5th primary, submitted answers to 5 questions the Long Beach Post asked them for an election guide. However, after noticing similarities in their responses, the Post asked Miller and Otto to rewrite their answers and also filed a public records request for their communications with LBUSD's publicly funded staff. The records show Otto and Miller both asked for help answering the Post questions, which Superintendent Jill Baker then provided. The answers Miller and Otto originally submitted to the Post bore many similarities to the language Baker had sent them. When they submitted their answers to the Post, neither Miller or Otto discussed that the portions of them had been written by someone else. Quote, I took a shortcut by using some of that stuff that Jill sent to me, end quote. Otto later said in an interview, but he denied that he was trying to take advantage of public resources to boost his campaign, saying he was merely asking for factual information from the district. Otto, who is running unopposed. Miller, who is running, did not respond to multiple requests for comment. The 2 school board members likely broke the law when they asked for campaign help from taxpayer-funded school district staff, according to Bob Stern, a retired attorney who previously served as general counsel for the Fair Political Practices Commission, the state's political reform watchdog. I think it's pretty black and white, said Stern. Nobody's going to go to jail over this, but they shouldn't be writing campaign statements for candidates, and this is a campaign statement. California law says it's illegal for an elected state or local official to use or permit others to use public resources for a campaign activity or personal or purposes that are not authorized by law. Baker said she was unaware that the questions she answered for Otto and Miller were for their campaign. Baker did not provide an answer to the 5th and final question she had been sent. Quote, if elected, what is a concrete policy change you would immediately advocate for at a school board meeting? Baker said she avoided answering it because she did not want to, quote, involve myself in their campaigns, end quote. After me emailing her answers to both board members, Baker followed up with a message to Miller.
Thank you. And then next in the queue would be Jerry Morrison after. The next speaker is, sorry. Sorry if I wasn't clear about that.
Good evening, Madam President, school board, community members. My name is De Janeiro Hubbard, and I am the newly appointed CSEA President, Long Beach Chapter 2. After a long, bumpy ride, we are here, and we're ready to serve with you. Just a minute, I just want to introduce really quickly my board members. I have my first VP, Taya Felder. My second VP is Kimberly Frederick. My Unit A President is Margarita Bermudez Martinez. My Unit B Vice President is Carlos Benitez. My Secretary is Maria Leon. My Treasurer is Claudia Yella. My communications officer is Lloyd Galileo, and Eric Lawson is my site representative. The number 2 why we're here today, I impose on you and I call to action this. As employees of the school board of Long Beach Unified School District classified workers, we are asking you to treat us with equity as well and a fair living workable wage in the city of Long Beach. We shouldn't have to live so far to come to the district that we love and provide the service that we do. As classified workers, the students, the first people they see when they walk on campus would be your IOA, would be your custodian, would be the food nutrition service worker. At the end of the day, when they're left, our teachers are very essential as well, but when they leave, they say bye to a custodian or a rec aide or someone like that. So moving forward, we ask you to treat us like your treasures. Right now, we feel like we're trash. We're not respected on any level. So we implore you as a school board to take action and look at your classified workers. During COVID, we came to work. We had to come to work, and we did it faithfully and happily. Other districts were provided some type of incentive. Long Beach said no. When it came to encouraging your classified workers, you have a very educated classified worker staff. You have a lot of people that have master's degrees and they stay in jobs for 30 years because they believe in Long Beach and what we represent. So as we move forward and we forge a new dynamic, don't treat us like trash. Treat us like the talented treasures you have, or another district may steal us. Thank you.
Thank you. After Jerry, we have Rocio. After Jerry.
Good evening, Madam President. Jerry Morrison, President of the Teachers Association of Long Beach. Just want to talk about a couple of things. First one, community schools and the fact that, sadly, no real surprise, but still a disappointment. We've missed the deadline to be part of the 3rd cohort and apply for state funds for funding for the community schools. I just want to make something clear because I think teachers certainly are, some and members of the community are confused when they hear that, oh, well, Long Beach has community schools. I was watching the board workshop yesterday and people were talking about community schools at Hamilton and Lindbergh and places. Not trying to take anything away from that. Sounds like wonderful things are happening there. But what we've been advocating for the last 6 months is to become part of the state community schools program. And one of the reasons we want to do that is because it comes with extra funding. The extra funding can be used for some of the things that is happening at Lindbergh and Hamilton, but for other stuff as well. And we've missed that once again. This is the 3rd time around we've missed that. And those funds could be used in some of our neediest schools. It's the neediest schools that would qualify for this program. We've talked about this. The district dragged its feet. Individual members of the board and the staff have all said, oh yes, that sounds good, let's meet. We've talked about it. And lo and behold, we get to February and the word is, oh, there's too much to do before the application deadline. We're going to have to put it off and hope we can be part of cohort 4, if it happens in the fall. If it happens, it's not guaranteed that it will. So that's the first thing. I want people to know that this is something that we've been pushing for months now. The deadline didn't come up out of nowhere. We knew when it was coming, and the district has chosen not to take part in it. Finally, just briefly, we have been having contract negotiations that have broken down or paused, stalled, almost at the finish line once again. We're very close to a deal. We've agreed on lots of things, important things, and once again, we're stuck on pay. We know the district looks to the future and sees next year's budget where there mightn't be any money at all. We know that. But we also know that there was money this year. And we get that the headline figure is not the figure you get. We get declining enrollment and all the rest of it. But our position and where we left off with our pay demand was less than that figure, less than what the district's left with after those factors are taken into account. Let's get it done. We're not too far apart. Let's have a vote of confidence to the teachers and come to a pay deal.
Thank you. And then we'll have Daniel after Rocio.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Rocio Torres. I'm a school counselor, part of the TALB E-Board, and also a community member. So we have lots of TALB members that live about 2 hours away from Long Beach, and I was amazed when so many people told me they live in Beaumont. I don't even know where that's at. They drive to Long Beach, but they do want to make sure that you know their thoughts. So we've emailed, but this time we're doing postcards. So instead of putting a post on here, I'm gonna read a few, and then I'm gonna turn them over to you so the board members can read at their leisure. From Ted Hollister, we want to be paid so we don't have to work a side gig like Uber, which I have done several times this year. Long Beach School Board, we need community schools in our Long Beach schools now to support our students, our parents. Rosa Palacios from Henry. In order for early interventions and conscious discipline to be implemented properly, class sizes will need to be smaller. 3 to 4-year-olds in a smaller class could be supported by adding additional staff. The safety of our children is in jeopardy. SD class M classes need to be truly MM moderate. Having 11 plus with 1-to-1 aides is not mild to moderate. Our credentials do not cover teaching mod severe students. This is a SDC teacher. Preschool special ed teachers have 18 students on our caseload without adequate support. We need to put our students first. I am a teacher because I want to make a difference. It's close to impossible to meet my students' needs, a teacher with 33 years of experience. Some people did not write their name because they're fear of retaliation, so I'm just writing their information that they posted here. Please stop adding to our plate that is already full. Every year, there's one more thing that we need to find time to do in our instructional day. Between everything, we're responsible for teaching, managing, behavior. We're overwhelmed. First grade teacher who is mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted. So I will leave these here with you for the board to read. Please read them. Take your time with them because teachers have put teachers, counselors, school psychologists, speech pathologists, nurses. We've all added our thoughts here. I'll place them here for you. Thank you.
Thank you. After Daniel B., we have Katie Bowser again.
Hello, everyone. I don't want to say I'm glad to be here because I didn't think I'd come to a second meeting, but here I am. I'm here with the Gant parents to talk about the move. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I wanted to come here again and be part of this, but because I thought we have, smart people that we elected with smart staff that's going to take care of business, give us answers, at least be transparent with the communication with us, but we don't feel heard. We don't feel like what we're asking is being answered or even considered. So for everybody here in the room, everyone that's watching at home, I would encourage you to go to www.keepgant@gant.com and you could get some information there, more than what the district's giving us. Again, that's www.keepgant@gant.com. And you could get some information to who we elected and what's going on with this process. To add to this, this move is not only going to affect the kids, it's going to affect the parents, it's going to affect the community and the neighborhoods. Me, myself, I'm a Jordan High School alumni. I was the first class that went into Jordan when they had the second campus open. And honestly, we went there, we were unprepared. We didn't know what to expect. My parents didn't have the means or the time or the language to go and advocate for me at that time. So because I'm here for my kids' friends, and for our community to advocate for this change or for what's going to happen. I understand the benefits of what we're going to do and how the kids will benefit from it, but I don't understand the lack of communication, the lack of transparency, the lack of everything, because I don't know anything. I can only assume that whoever's doing this doesn't know what they're doing because I don't know. So I encourage you to be transparent with us. I encourage the 4th District council member to come out to our school and sit down and talk to us along with Mr. Miranda and just take our questions and follow through with your commitment to give us answers. Don't just string us along and say a few more weeks, because that is unacceptable. So I'll leave you with that. Go to keepgant@gant.com. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, Katie Bowser again. We are here to discuss the planned busing of half the Gant students next year. After coming 2 weeks ago, we finally got a response from your facilities staff, but it says nothing substantive, and what it does say is troubling. For example, facilities tells us they're working on a, quote, interim housing plan, end quote, which is how they described the busing plan to us in November. They also indicate they'll have their, quote unquote, final plan to us in the coming weeks. Aside from continuing to string everyone along and not providing an actual date, they're not giving us any opportunity to engage with the district in trying to find a workable solution. And at this point, we have no trust in the decisions being made, and certainly are not happy with the idea that a decision will be brought down upon us at an unnamed date and will be final when we don't even know what it will entail. What is the draft final plan? Will your staff work with the community? Where is the evidence that this is cost effective, and let alone the evidence that it's the best interest of the children's educational, health, and mental health needs, as well as for their siblings and families? Nothing provided to date in response to my 2 detailed records requests provides any of that. Today, I just got the alleged final response to my most recent request, part of which was requesting all the policies referred to by Madam Chair at the last meeting. Policies that staff is supposed to abide by on these issues, because the chair said the staff follows policy set by the board and therefore the board would not deal with our concerns. The response provides nothing in that regard, not one policy, confirming my suspicions that there are no such policies. This issue is within the board's purview, and the board should direct staff to work with the affected community and come up with a plan that works for all. So I ask you again, what's the status of the draft plan? Will you take up this issue at the next board meeting as another parent has formally requested? Will you direct staff to work with us to find an acceptable solution? We want to keep our kids on campus at their homeschool site and keep them all together. There's nothing that's been provided that would support another decision. Do what's right and keep Gant at Gant. And now I look to you to provide a brief comment or direct your staff to report back, as you're entitled and allowed to do under the Brown Act.
What I will tell you is that the conversation is ongoing, that this item will most likely not be put on a future agenda, because we do have a process for that, but that I see our staff members taking notes. We are listening, and we will be responsive. There will be more community meetings. There will be more information. This is a big district. There's a lot of work that needs to be taken care of. Things don't happen immediately. So I'll thank you for your patience, and thank you for advocating on behalf of your school community.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a procedural question, if we're going to move on to the next item.
Yes.
Just a legal question regarding Brown Act and public hearing for item 10.1. I didn't see one. I don't think we have it listed as a public hearing. Wayne, can you just provide a little background and context on?
Sure. 10.1 was just an annual report. It was for information. It was not for a vote, so there's not a Brown Act violation.
Thank you, Wayne.
Okay, now we are at item 13, reports on superintendent advisory groups. We will start with the business budget and policy development. Dr. Benitez.
Thank you, President Craighead. Just 2 items to report out on for our colleagues and community members. So we will have Board Policy 3311 in our upcoming first March meeting on the consent calendar. This is just codifying the practice around bids. We have some new language that will be inserted based on practices that we're currently following. The second item that will be before us as an information item only. We had a presentation at yesterday's board workshop around an equitable grading policy. So that was the first of our conversations. It'll be presented to us as an information item so that we can have additional conversation, questions, and the team can provide some draft language on the policy that that they're asking for us to consider. So that's my report from our advisory group.
Thank you. Let's see, next, the instruction and student learning supports. Ms. Lopez.
Yeah, just brief, we discussed what LBUSD is doing to support English learners. And the district has spent $5 million from general funds, from LCAP, and from title funds for coaches, for the Enlace program, which is a newcomer program, for translation and interpretation staff, for EL testing, monitoring, and reclassification. There are also new course sequence for middle school and high school, and a new master plan for multilingual learners that is currently being developed. And just very quickly, I do want to point out that when we talk about English learners, we're not only talking about newcomers, but we're also talking about students who have been in our system, who were born here, raised here, and have been in our school system since kindergarten. I think a lot of the times when we make reference to English learners, there's an assumption that these are all newcomers, and I just wanted to let the public know that it does encompass students who were born in this country. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And workforce development, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, so I have 4 topics that I'm going to bring up. First is one of our more exciting one, which was the teacher recruitment night. As I announced at the last board meeting, our Human Resource and Equity Leadership and Talent Development team hosted a successful recruitment event over at Browning a couple of days ago, where they had a focused approach towards recruiting special education support, multilingual, folks in CTE, science, and math educators. Participants engaged with the staff who were set up throughout the room to answer questions, and there were approximately, ready for this, almost 200 participants. So really, really cool. Another big topic is about transfer and assignment applications. So teachers who are interested in transfers can now find a link to the transfer form on the HRS website. Applications are due on March 31st. I spoke a little bit about the ELT team, the Equity Leadership and Talent Development team. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that we have over 24 to 25 application processes now open for both certificated and classified pipeline programs. So please visit the Equity Leadership Talent Development webpage under E in the index on the district website. Applications will be open through Monday, April 8th, and we encourage all who are interested in equity-centered leadership to apply. This one was a big one for me, as I'm a big believer in professional development, and so this was really exciting news, and I'm excited to hear all of the opportunities available to both our certificated and classified employees. And last but definitely not least, there was a big item on the agenda today regarding our special contracts. And so these teachers are hired on a 1-year contract to replace teachers who are either taking a leave of absence or they are in a position that is funded categorically. So categorical positions are funded on 1 year's basis as well, as the funding amounts are subject to change. Now, we haven't voted on this just yet, but I personally want to take a moment to thank all of our special contract teachers and employees, as I know that this is a great place to work, but more importantly, that you all have built great relationships with your campus and with the students that we serve. And so I don't take that for granted. So I know that we have a very difficult decision today, and so I just wanted to make sure that I emphasized that relationship and how important it is to us and to me in particular as a representative.
Procedural question, Madam Chair. Wayne Did Dwayne step out? He did. So my question is whether we can engage in conversation with Mr. Miller on the items that he reported out on, or whether we should wait for the conversation to take place on the consent calendar item.
I would feel more comfortable if we waited for the consent calendar item.
you.
That's right.
When we take that vote. That would be considered part of the discussion on that. So thank you. And then, let's see, student outcome focused governance, Mr. Otto.
Yeah, we have, excuse me. So the Student Outcome Focused Governance Committee has been meeting. As you know, we adopted goals and guardrails a short time ago, and recently we adopted a monitoring calendar, which is available. Is it on our website? I think it's on our website now, so people can go to our website and familiarize themselves with what that will look like for the next year, I think, isn't it? Or at least till the end of this year. And we're excited about this. People, when we said at the beginning that what we were going to do is adopt a student outcome focused governance, those were hollow words until we had goals and guardrails and now a monitoring calendar. So we're set to go forward. Our goals and guardrails are also available on the district's website for people to look at, and we'll be happy to talk to you about those. We're making steady progress.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Otto, when you go onto our website, if you type in board goals as a search phrase, the first link that comes up is the monitoring calendar link. The second link that comes up is the direct link to our board goals and guardrails. I've been checking them out in the last 2 weeks, Mr. Otto.
Did you learn anything? Oh.
We'll see.
Ms. Lopez? No? Okay. Next, we will go to our consent calendar, and just a reminder, item number 13 has been pulled from 14.6, the Business Department report, and also we have moved item number 14.9 out of this consent calendar that we're voting on right now, just as a reminder. So we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I do
Dr.
have a question on item 14.7, number 28, and it's a contract to provide recruitment services for the district. My question is, what are we recruiting? It sounds like we had a recruitment for teachers, and are we hiring a company to help us recruit additional teachers? What are we hiring this company to recruit?
We will be engaging in a recruitment for a general counsel, and so this is an augmentation to the Personnel Commission recruiting efforts, so this firm will help us in recruiting for that position.
General counsel?
Correct.
In addition to the two that we currently have here on staff, or it's just, no?
This will be Mr. Mr. Scrumper has.
My contract ends in July, and I've decided to retire.
Thank you.
Further discussion, Dr. Benitez?
I apologize, Madam Chair. Mr. Suarez came and was sharing some information with me, so I missed. You don't have to cover everything, but what was at the core of the question or comment, Ms. Lopez?
The contract to provide recruitment services for the district.
Okay. So I did have a question about item 14.3, specifically around the recommended abolishment and reductions. And I don't want to, I want to focus in on specifically the SPED position. So if our team could provide some background as to any potential programmatic rationale and or impact, and then the budget consideration for that item.
Yeah, and actually I can start and then I'll pass to Dr. Simon to speak specifically. So in this meeting and the next meeting.
I'm listening, Dr. Baker. I'm just going to stand up and walk around.
Okay, no problem. Unfortunately, there will be a number of reductions for lack of work or lack of funds, and these are comprised of related to site funding and priorities, which can change.
program changes, which you may hear Dr. Simon address, both at the site level and the district level. We've had significant shifts in enrollment that change district allocations. We are implementing staffing standards, which again can change an allocation to a school site. And then unfortunately, the significant expiration of our ESSER funds, which amount to about $133 million a year over the last 3 years. And so it is the combination of those that you will see both in the item that was pulled for separate action, the approval of resolution for release of special contract. Some of those positions are encompassed in ESSER funding, as well as some of the classified positions. So that's an overview of what's coming this meeting and next meeting, and really unfortunate to have to address lack of work and lack of funds. Specific to the question about special education and program shift.
So for program shifts, these are the things that we're just currently still working on in regards to, as we've been hearing from our community, from our school sites, in regards to addressing behavior. So again, what other aspects can we utilize, programming can we utilize to mitigate some behaviors that we're seeing, not just in special education, but also in general education. Also looking at ways that we can mitigate or decrease the number of students who are going into special education by working on our MTSS approaches and also our positive behavior intervention services and supports for our school sites that also allows, for that decrease of our students entering special education as well. So some things that we're working on from that standpoint, to elevate interventions and services within our district.
I do have another question. The number 14.7, item 52, and it's a contract for $120,000 with Long Beach Ford for electric vehicles. Who are these vehicles for? Are we replacing our vehicles, or are these vehicles for staff members, district personnel?
We bid for future electric vehicles. Currently, we have one in our annual transportation budget to purchase, and it'll be used by our maintenance teams. So this is part of our ongoing long-term electrification program as part of our sustainability work that we're doing.
So just for clarification, for maintenance teams?
For maintenance.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, Madam Chair, I appreciate the background, Dr. Baker and Dr. Simon. Given that the specific question that I had in item 14.3 falls within the consent calendar, is it possible to move for a separate action on that specific item, Wayne?
Yes, you can make a motion, and if the board passes it, it can be a separate item as well, taken off the consent calendar.
So I'd like to move so that we have an opportunity for further discussion for that specific item within 14.3 to be pulled from our consent calendar, Madam Chair. If I can get a second from a colleague.
I'll get a second that motion.
Okay, so how do we do that? Because we already had a motion. Who made that motion initially to?
Mr. Otto.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it's a separate, different, new motion that just can be made and seconded, can't we?
Well, yes, but we already had a motion on the floor. And so I think the maker of the motion has to rescind their motion so that we can entertain a second motion.
Correct. So you've taken a motion and a second for consent, for this consent calendar. You're asking
Yes.
to change the consent calendar so you can withdraw the motion, make a new motion.
Right.
So moved.
Who made the motion? So you withdraw your motion?
Yes.
Motion withdrawn. New motion.
So
Motion to pull item, not the entire item 14.3, but it's within item 14.3 from the consent calendar.
And what number on 14.3? We should be specific.
They're not
numbered?
numbered, Wayne, but they're all in subsections.
So
specifically the item that reads abolishment and/or reductions.
So why don't, as I understand it, why don't we take 14.3 off
Yeah.
and then have that discussion,
Yes.
and then you can vote.
Yes. So that's my motion.
Any further discussion on that motion?
Just a point of clarification. So to confirm on consent calendar, on On item number 14, consent calendar, we will still be reviewing 14.1, 14.2, 14.4, 14.5, 14.7, and 14.8. Is that correct? Oh, and we'll still be reviewing 6. Just 13 from 6 will be removed. Great.
It was just the item number 13 from 14.6, but the
Great.
rest of 14.6.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we need a vote on the motion for separate action. We have a motion, we have a second, we need a vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need the vote on,
We need a vote on the motion Dr. Benitez made to move 14.3 for separate action. So we have
Okay.
a motion, we have a second, we need a vote on that.
okay.
And just to be clear, my motion does not include every single thing. So no leaves of absence, just the specifics on abolishment and reduction.
Just do the whole thing.
No, but Wayne said to do the whole
But it's in 14.6, I mean, 14.3.
Point 3, I think the way 14.3 is done, I think it's best to take it out, and then when however your discussion goes with 14.3, then you can make a new motion
Got
as
it.
to what you want to add.
So there's no way to mitigate that we don't have a discussion on all the items in 14.3?
Well, you just don't have to have that discussion.
Okay.
You can just discuss what you want to discuss.
You know that I'm guilty of talking on everything on the items. Wait, okay. Okay, got it. So my motion, I'm good with it.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is that we remove item number 14.3 from the consent calendar.
In its entirety.
Yes, in its entirety. So we will take a roll call vote for clarity.
Thank you. So, Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye?
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
And Student Member Aguilar, preferential vote.
Aye.
So that passes 5-0.
Thank you. And now, I will entertain a motion for a vote on the consent calendar minus item 13 from 14.6 and 14.3, and also 14.9.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I will ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
And Student Member Aguilar, preferential vote.
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
Thank you. Now we will go to consent calendar B, approval of finance report B.
Yes, Madam Chair. Out of abundance of caution, I will recuse myself from consent calendar B, item 15, as I have a potential conflict of interest pursuant to California law.
Thank you. And we need wait, do we have that motion? I'm sorry. Yeah, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
This includes item, the 14.9 that we moved?
No, this
okay.
one is just 15.1.
Got it, thank you.
So we will just be voting on 15.1. I'll ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
And Student Member Aguilar, preferential vote.
Aye.
That passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have item 14.9. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I do have a question. It looks like we are moving to give notice to employees about their positions possibly being eliminated. And I think I just need some clarity. We're having recruitment fairs to recruit teachers, but at the same time, we are looking to lay off teachers and staff. That's confusing to me, and I definitely need some kind of clarity there.
Sure, Member Lopez. In terms of this, these are special contract
teachers here, there are one-year contracts replacing teachers on a leave of absence, right? Or in categorically funded positions. And so when we hosted that recruitment fair, it was very different from prior years where we hosted hundreds of potential recruits. We targeted our efforts to our high-need credential areas. So special education, dual immersion, our CTE, that is what we were recruiting for. Those are positions we are always seeking.
And we can't keep some of these individuals for the positions that we're essentially looking to fill?
No, great question. We're definitely looking to fill them as long as they have those credentials. Many of these individuals do not possess that credential at this time.
Thank you. Any further discussion for 14.9?
I have a question. How many positions are we talking about? How many positions are we talking about?
In terms of the special contract positions here, we're looking at a total of 520. 240 are our early ed, Head Start, CDC positions that are on yearly contracts. 156 of them are on leave replacements, and 124 are categorically funded.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll ask our board. Oh, yes.
One of the things that was discussed during public comment was our usage of contract employees to replace positions that technically we have the employees to do. Can you speak a little bit to that for clarification?
I can speak to that, Board Member Miller, because I think that was in reference to our BISs. So just in short, any contracted BIS will be eliminated as well. Behavior Intervention Specialist, excuse me. Special ed, we have many acronyms. So our Behavior Intervention Specialists, better known as BISs, anyone who is contracted will also be removed as well. So those folks are removed, will be removed prior to any of our abolished positions.
Okay. Any further discussion for 14.9? I'll ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Member Otto. President Craighead.
Aye.
Member Benitez.
Aye.
Member Miller.
Aye.
Thank you. And Student Member Aguilar, preferential vote.
I abstain.
You abstain? Okay. So that passes 4-0 with one abstention.
Thank you.
May I add one point of clarification? Many of the teachers who are named in the annual special contract reduction do come back to work for the school district. This is an annual process, as Dr. Ahn explained. For those who are on a single year contract, such as Head Start, as soon as we are able to offer the contract for next year, Human Resource Services will do so. And so about half of the teachers who are named tonight come back to the district, assuming that their categorical program is fully funded as we expect it to be. And so this is an annual process. It's not something new to this year. It does include teachers that were hired on special contract with ESSER funding, in addition to those that regularly you have to look at as annual contracts. But I do want to assure the board and our community that is in the positions that we can rehire for, the teachers will be rehired in the programs where they work.
Can I ask a question? So I want to be clear about how this is done. So we can, when we are funded, rehire a bunch of people who have been on one-year contracts, and we will need them again because they've been in these positions before. Are we also eliminating positions where people are not credentialed and we're bringing new credentialed people in, or is that a separate item? We don't have the credential, credential is probably the wrong word, that they're, well, maybe it is the right word. Let me try and say it again. where we have people on single-year contracts, some of which may not be or have the credentials to do what it is that we will hire them again to do. Is that right?
Are you asking about like an emergency permit or teaching in a subject area outside of their credentialed subject area? Is that what you're asking, Mr. Otto?
Is what we're trying to do get as many people as possible credentialed in what we want them to teach and where we have contracts that require those kinds of credentials?
That's a correct statement. We want teachers that are fully credentialed in the area that they have been hired to teach.
That's one of the goals of what we're doing here. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I think we're ready to vote on 14.3.
That was 14.3? Yeah, I thought we were coming up on 14.3.
No, 14.9 you already voted on, so now you can move on to 14.3.
I was actually offering a post-vote point of clarification. So you are on to 14.3.
Okay.
All right. So we'll entertain a motion for 14.3.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, so just to follow up on the brief context and background that Dr. Baker and Dr. Simon provided, and it's actually related to what we just covered. So I guess it's a twofold question. One is, if I understood Dr. Simon, when we abolish a position, in this case, can I use the BIS? Am I getting the acronym as an example? It's not being replaced by a subcontracted position to perform that, right? The position and its responsibilities are abolished?
Correct. So currently we have 24 BISs, Behavior Intervention Specialists.
Can you
in our
talk a little
system.
bit about what the responsibilities are, Dr. Simon?
Sure. They're responsible for providing functional behavior assessments, right, to see what behavior supports, right, our students need. They go into classrooms to, right, help teachers with classroom management. They attend IEP meetings. There are about several things that come to mind that are in regards to their role, but it's specifically around behaviors and mostly in support of our students with disabilities, especially those with autistic-like behaviors and things of that nature.
And so I'm assuming that there's still a need for those responsibilities to be performed. And so if we're abolishing the position and we're not replacing our district employees with subcontracted folks, who then assumes those responsibilities?
Well, right now we will still have 18 positions, right, to carry out some of those functions, but we're also looking at other avenues and positions that could assist. Not just with our special education behaviors, but even more so with our general education behaviors. Right. So just know that there's a bigger plan in regards to the behaviors that we're seeing within our system that need to be addressed at a larger scale.
Okay. So then back to Dr. Baker. So are all or some of those positions that Dr. Simon described funded with one-time ESSER funds, Dr. Baker?
The behavior intervention
Yes.
specialists, I don't think that any of them
Okay.
are funded out of ESSER funds in that regard.
So is it fair to say that then this was more of a programmatic, administrative, strategic decision versus a lack of funds for these specific positions?
BIS.
I don't know, Dr. Simon, that didn't sound too... Here's where I'm coming from, if you could speak to it here. Then this is why I'm so appreciative of being around spaces like the CAC, right? Because we often hear from parents and caregivers how important our staff is, and some of the challenges which you specifically have shared here, Dr. Simon, is that we are understaffed and under capacity to serve at the level that we aspire to serve at. So that's where I'm coming from in terms of, okay, these positions are being abolished. not because of the lack of one-time funds, as a conversation for the previous position. And we're just going to sort of add the responsibility to 18 current. How do we ensure that we are able to continue providing the level of excellence for our students, but also consider that we have had, at different points in the last few years, drastic need for staffing and specialized staffing here, not specifically just for our students with disabilities, but that they have a responsibility with our students with disabilities.
I would say, and if I stated that the responsibilities would be on the other 18 just fully, that is not a correct statement, right? So, of course, there's some responsibilities that they will still hold, but with other potential additions, potentially, based on what we currently have in our system that can provide that support. These are ways that we're looking to mitigate some of the behaviors that are happening within our system. So it's almost like a repurposing of some of our positions as well within the office in order to address behaviors, right? Based on skill sets, based on expertise, based on what our students have been saying, our parents have been saying, our teachers, our principals, right? We're trying to build that system to support behaviors that we're seeing that are coming, right, post-COVID. With trauma, with mental health, so really diving deeper right into those behaviors and those traumas that are not just focused on just special ed, autistic-like behaviors. There are bigger issues within our system around behaviors that we need to address. Yes.
Just to add on, one of the things that we are always challenged by is cost containment in providing the services that we are required to provide and we are committed to provide for students with disabilities. Like we have talked about with other job classes, we need to look at how we can best utilize the skill set of the professional to match the need. And that does not happen inside of one job class. So Dr. Simon, Ms. Wesley, and the team in special education have done a really thorough job of looking at how many assessments are being completed within different types of job classes, and how can we divide not just the work, but using the expertise of other professionals, how can we make sure that we're matching the need to the professional and their ability to do that work? But we would be remiss if we did not say that cost containment is always a factor when we are looking at how we support special education, because the needs are so beyond the amount of funding that we receive.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. And so my last point here for discussion is precisely because of the last point that you shared, Dr. Brown. I personally feel that I would like to engage in that conversation further, not taking away all the work that's been done to make this very difficult and strategic decision, but I want to be able to be responsive to caregivers and parents to make sure that I'm understanding all the, not to decide on what you should do, but to make sure that I'm understanding how we're going to mitigate that. You just don't replace expertise, right? You don't replace skill sets that, as you've so eloquently pointed, Dr. Brown, we're always in need of more and better. So this is why I had the question about, for me, the item that we're discussing right now, Wayne, I'm not voting for or against anything other than the very specific positions that we have here. So I don't know how we either table that part of it for further information and discussion without me, voting for or against everything else that's in that item.
Yeah, at this point, if you want to make a motion to approve and take out the items that you don't want to vote on, you can make that motion. And then the board or a board member can make a motion to approve it completely. But if you're asking me about making that motion, that's how you would do it.
Okay.
You would just take out those items.
Just wanted to, I don't want to jump before checking in with you, but I'll allow for further discussion before deciding whether to do that or not.
I have a question. Earlier in this discussion, it was said this is part of a bigger plan that we're doing, And I think it would be helpful to know what the bigger plan is, because that would help clarify, I think, some of the underlying questions, if somebody can address that.
So, Madam Chair, that's precisely my
Yes.
rationale for if we can get, and Dr. Simon, all respect and credit to you. You've shared at times that we're reimagining SPED. We've, in previous meetings, approved certain positions based on your recommendations. I think it behooves us to just be reminded of your thinking, your imagining, and how we take this into account in the spirit of trying to achieve what Dr. Brown just shared.
I appreciate the discussion. I think that's very healthy for us to understand exactly what we're voting on, so I appreciate that. But there is a motion on the floor.
I'll pull that motion, make a new motion to vote on all the other aspects of this item, except for those positions that are being considered for abolishment and or reduction.
May I speak, Madam President?
Well, let's get a second on the motion so we can get to the discussion part.
Oh,
And I'll
good
second
idea.
that.
All right.
Thank you. There's something that hasn't been clearly said, and I just want to make sure that it's understood, is that part of what we're doing in bringing forward the proposal to abolish these positions is we're seeking to meet the March 15th timeline, which allows us to then move forward in looking at the plan that we're describing and make some decisions that will be finalized before year end. So if there's not action on that item tonight, that presents a challenge in terms of us looking forward to abolish these positions. I just want to make sure that hasn't been clearly said, so I want to make sure that's clearly understood. The other thing that seems important, as Dr. Simon has referenced around the proposal or the plan, Mr. Otto, that you were asking further about, is that in thinking about the behavioral needs that are being experienced in classrooms by students, for students, and in support of families and our staff, we're really looking at who the best professionals are to match those needs. And one of the things that we've looked at is that the behavior intervention supervisors have had a very specific functional look at behavior. We need a wider lens as well. And so we are looking at some reduction of certain job classes, which is in front of you tonight. We're looking at additions in other spaces where we can have behaviorists that also bring forward more general skills and the ability to look at skills through a trauma-informed lens, not just through the lens of a professional that looks at a more applied behavioral analysis type of model. So that's something else that hasn't been clearly said, that without revealing a large plan, which we're not prepared to do this evening, I think sharing that gives you an idea of why we're bringing this forward and what's coming next.
Super important to know that, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, and I think it's problematic that we're, pushing an item so close to a deadline. And I agree with Dr. Benitez. We need more time to discuss this. And it may not be, maybe not be tonight.
The notification is what we're bringing forward tonight. A decision is not made. But the requirement upon us is that by the March 15th deadline, we have brought forward any position that might be changed, and we have the ability until June 30th to make a decision around that.
But correct me if I'm wrong, we would be voting on reducing and eliminating positions. Is that correct? That's what is here.
You would be voting on the notification that a person is receiving, that they
Correct.
have to receive, that their position may be reduced.
Or eliminated, because we have abolishments.
Yeah, but tonight what you're voting on is that they are being noticed of that. Yeah.
And we have until what date in June to actually execute that?
30th.
Well, the notices have to go out by March 15th.
Right.
So, were you going to speak to that?
I was just going to say June 30th is the required date to do official notification of changes in employment, if they will be coming back to a position but the notice has to be for all classified employees. There was a change in the law that requires not on a rolling basis, but now, just like certificated staff, by March 15th, all employees have to receive notice.
That they may.
That they may.
May.
Yes.
But the decision we have till June.
Yes.
That's right. And this is a process that we have engaged in many times. It's never a pleasant process, but it is our duty to inform staff that we're looking at this position, we're making decisions, and we need to inform you by this time. There will be another notification that comes in on or by June 30th, sooner if we are able to. And in the meantime, there will be a conversation about how we're supporting the needs that are in front of us. There's also the aspect of employees knowing and have opportunity for job searching should they choose in the 3 months in between. And that's really the core of the reason for the notification.
I still have.
Hey, Wayne, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Really quickly, Wayne, can you give us confirmation that if we were to table this and bring it to the next board meeting, that would be sufficient enough time? Or is that something you can confirm?
Our next board meeting is March 6th. So operationally, I don't know if that gives us enough time to get the notices out. I would assume it would. Legally, it would be acceptable, barely. Yes.
It's just important to know that classified and certificated operate a little differently. So when we're talking about classified positions, and there is going to be a reduction or an abolishment, we need to look at specifically who that is going to impact. And so after a vote, then we engage our personnel commission, and we have to look at the seniority list, and we have to figure out which employee is going to bump which employee, which is going to bump which employee, which is going to receive the notice. So not to complicate it, but I just want to make sure that you have all of the factual information on the differences.
So does that affect the ability, is that a different deadline that we have to take into consideration in order to do this before March 15th? Because between the 6th and the 15th isn't very much time.
So the deadline is March 15th.
Right.
For the notice. But one of the reasons why traditionally this has always been brought before the board in February is so that we can make sure that it is accurate, and we are making sure that we get those notices out to the employees before March 15th. When it happens on March 6th, then it goes into potentially effect on March 7th, the next day, weekend not included. That's where it starts to get pretty tight from an operational standpoint.
So I think the answer to my question is yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let me try and get an answer to the previous question, and maybe it's already been answered, and that wouldn't surprise me, and that is, so what's the big plan? Or has it already been answered by the things that we've talked about? Or what are we trying to do here so everybody understands it?
Thank you, Board Member Otto. I think Dr. Brown alluded to this during her statement in regards to us really identifying the expertise within staff to ensure that we can mitigate behaviors, not just from an applied behavior analysis standpoint, from an ABA standpoint, which is mostly for our students with autism. So what we're hearing from the field, and Dr. Benitez, Board Member Craighead, I'm sure you heard this from our CAC parents, right? There is more behavior support that's needed outside of that autism, right, training and expertise, right, based on trauma and mental health, so on and so forth. So the plan is, right, to utilize experts who can help us with that from a holistic standpoint, not just in our within our special education, right, division, or with our students with disabilities, but more so also with our general education population, where we're seeing a huge majority of those behaviors happening within our school sites. So it is to mitigate, right, those behavior from a full-out district-wide standpoint.
Yeah, but thank you. And again, big picture for me. We have plans to take action on a proposed suspension policy. We had a conversation about a potential discipline policy. All of you have done a amazing job lifting up how important social and emotional well-being is for students. We've made big investments in our FRCs, our wellness centers. We've heard from the educators in the classroom how there's been just an increase in acting out in the classroom. We're operating in this quote-unquote post-COVID environment. And so those are the things that I'm considering here. And again, not to take over or dispute the decision, but just trying to reconcile that we have a disproportionate number of young men of color, socially and emotionally disturbed. All right, so I'm just trying to wrap my head around the moving parts, the need for more funding, and the tremendous advocacy that we're going to have to do at the state and federal level to be able to truly meet the needs. So we're operating here on bare bones. I know that, right? But I did want to differentiate that from Mr. Zaid. I've asked you this question probably multiple times every year that we come to this time of the year, right? And I do want to differentiate. We're not talking about people that are on one-year contracts here. We're not talking about renewals for CDC and Head Start when we get the long list of folks, because many of those folks we bring back, right? We just got to do our due diligence. So those are the things that I'm considering. So thank you.
And let me make one other minor point, and that is, I know that this field has evolved very quickly. The trauma-informed focus of this, I know, I represented the Women's Center in litigation over 18 months, and one of the things that we had to deal with was trauma-informed treatment, and it changed several times during that period of time. So I know that it's a moving target. I know that it's only getting better, but at the same time, it takes time to do that. I feel very comfortable with letting these applications go out as long as we have time to make good decisions based on our big plan before the end of June.
And I would say our big plan, we look at data, we look at the number of suicide assessments, we look at our suspension rates, we look at so many aspects. We look at our restorative justice work and see how that's working within our systems, how people are collaborating and working alongside each other to build systems like multi-tiered systems of support from a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So I do want to tell this board, right, what we bring before you is not lost on us, is not taken lightly. We have looked at our data in order to make an educated and informed decision about ways we need to reduce and other areas that we may need to elevate, right, based on the behaviors that we discussed that don't just pertain to our students with disabilities, but we're looking at our entire system and how our entire system is being impacted. I also want to go back to something you said about funding, Dr. Benitez. When we look at federal funding, we've been promised 40% for special education for 50 years. I think that we're still, I'm looking at my business folks, Mrs. Arcus, we have only been funded at 8%, right? So when we look at the constant increases in cost for special education, when we look at, whether it's agencies or just assessments, so on and so forth, right, we're always just kind of hitting this wall, but also trying to ensure that our students have the best support and systems and teachers and so on and so forth within our system. That's a hard thing to do at some points of times. At many times, it's a very delicate balance. But please know that we always place students at that top. Our students are a North Star for us to make the best decisions and informed decisions to support them and their families.
Yeah, but this vote, we would be eliminating special education positions, custodians, office assistants, rec aides. So there are a handful of positions that we would be reducing hours or eliminating.
Well, I think it's the possibility that these positions could be eliminated. The vote tonight doesn't mean that they absolutely will be eliminated, it's that they may be eliminated.
So we've authorized it.
Which would mean you wouldn't necessarily have to come back to report to us if and when a decision had been made about these specific decisions?
Yeah, I think we would need to put it back on the calendar.
Yeah.
So I'll motion for these specific reductions and/or abolishment of positions, that we pull that out and have to put it on the agenda for the March 6th meeting, so that.
So just to be clear,
Yeah.
Dr. Benitez, you're asking for the 6 behavior intervention
The SPED
supervisor
positions, the SPED
positions to be removed for additional information and consideration
Yes.
at March 6th, with the rest of the item 14.3
Yes.
being voted upon.
Yes. And again, so I didn't hear a definitive yes, Mr. Zan. I heard it's very hard. We're going to be short on time. If it was a definitive, there is no way we're going to make the notification deadline. But that's why I want to separate out, not for all the positions, Dr. Baker. I'm talking about the specific SPED positions. Yes.
How many? 6. Well, if you can't get 6.
Okay. So I'm going to ask our board secretary if we already had a motion, because I believe we were having discussion on a motion that was already on the floor. Are you the maker of that motion?
Yeah, and I'm pulling it and revising
Okay,
rescinding the motion, revising it as a separate action for those 6 positions that we're referring to here.
Who seconded it? Who seconded it?
Okay. Yes, the motion has been seconded.
Okay, so the motion is to approve 14.3 without the 6 special ed
Correct.
reductions.
Correct.
Right.
That's the motion.
Correct.
And those specifically are the behavior intervention specialists.
Okay. But
Okay.
the previous motion, which was rescinded, had that been seconded?
Yes.
Who
That's-
seconded it?
Well, that's why we were having a discussion.
I did, and my next question was going to be, so Dr. Benitez is just asking for those 6 positions to be pulled out, and what would have to happen, legal counsel, if I wanted to motion for the other, for the positions and the reduction and abolishment to be included or added separately?
Yeah, the motion's on the floor in a second. You have a vote. If it doesn't pass, you can make that motion, or you can make the motion, and if you get a second, then that would replace. But Dr. Benitez would have to withdraw his motion for you to make the motion on the floor.
Before I make the motion?
Yes.
I have a motion, we have a second.
Right.
So
Any-
it can then be voted on. If it's approved, then we're finished. If it's not, then you can make a new motion.
Okay, I need a clarification, because right now, again, Dr. Benitez is just asking for the 6 special ed positions, and we had a second motion on the reduction and abolishment of those 2 sections of those positions. So if we pass, if it passes, I cannot go back and motion to get these other positions.
Correct,
separately.
because the item will have been voted on. Correct.
So I
Okay.
can't motion to go back and add both of those?
If he would withdraw his motion, you could, or if the vote is, it's a 5-person board. So if the board votes for it, then that's it.
How many other positions are there?
Okay, so the motion that we are voting on is to pass 14.3 without the 6 behavior intervention specialist positions.
That's the
Period.
motion. And
Right,
again,
that's
just to
the motion.
qualify, I'm not happy that we have to make any decision on this. I don't think anyone on our team is, like, this is a hard, difficult decision. But what I'm hearing, and that's why it was important for me to get clarification, is that there is a reimagining of that these positions are not just about serving our SPED population. All right, so I don't view, and I'm not minimizing or trivializing, custodial, rec aid, office assistant staff in the same way that I am these positions. Not better or worse, but there's different implications for me, for the positions in SPED that we're talking about here.
I think that there's a huge need to retain our aides, our office assistants, and our custodians. And so I firmly believe we need to keep the reductions and abolishments together.
I agree that there's a need, Board Member Lopez, but there's a difference to me between abolishing and reducing.
So we have a motion on the floor, and we need to vote. So I'll ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Okay, I need some information before I can vote, and that is how, that we have been talking about 6. If it was all of those positions, how many would it be?
Currently have 24.
Okay, so it would be a total of 24, and the practical question is, if you, this is about applications, right? Okay, so, the font of wisdom about personnel, but Dr. Zaid, how many, let's say it's 24, is it possible, and what would it take to get all those notices out by the 6th if we put this over? So if we put it over to the 6th.
Just to be clear, it's 24 total positions, but the abolishment only impacts 6. So okay. If the vote were to be taken tonight, yes, then the next step would be to look at the 6 with the least amount of seniority, because that's who would be impacted. And that's where the notices would need to apply. That wouldn't apply to the other 18. That's the operational component on the back end once a decision is reached.
So it's possible to do this, but what's the best practice to do this, given all that you've heard? You don't get to vote, but I'm...
So we've done this annually, and the reason why we bring it each year in February is to just make sure that we allow for enough time to ensure that we meet with employees, we ensure the proper notices, we meet with management to just ensure that happens in a very systematic way. So that's the reason why it's always come in February, although, the deadline, of course, is March 15th, but it's 6 out of 24.
And in many ways, delaying only delays what is hard. Because what we know is that we have a reduction in work and we have a reduction in funds that we're asking you to take action on. So a couple of weeks difference really only delays the hard decision that would be in front of you, that would then put pressure on the notification to additional employees based on seniority. So it kicks the can down the road a couple of weeks, but it doesn't make the decision that is in front of us
any easier.
No, it doesn't make it any easier. Okay. It really just pushes it.
But Dr. Brown, I was under the understanding that we weren't making a decision at this point, that we have till June 30th.
The decision that you're making is the notification.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
and the implications for other employees to act on that notification, correct, then it just puts pressure in the system.
Correct.
When there's already challenging decisions that are being made.
Dr. Benitez, would you be willing to pull your motion to include both of the reductions and abolishment sections and bring them together, as was your original motion?
I'm not, because there's a difference to me between reducing and the reductions aren't, as I understand it, Mr. Zay, we're not giving notice in the same way that we are for the abolishment of positions. So the abolishment piece only applies to the 6 positions, correct? No, but the spec positions that I'm talking, that we're having a discussion.
Just those 6
yes.
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 And all the rest are staying, which allow us to go through
correct
that process.
And that's, I'm taking into account the stress on the system here.
Okay, so the motion that we're voting on is to approve item 14.3 minus the behavior intervention specialists totaling 6. I'm going to ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Member Lopez?
No.
Okay. Member Otto?
Yes.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
And student member Aguilar, preferential vote.
Aye.
So that passes 4 with 1 abstention. Oh, a no. Sorry. Yes. So 4 and 1 no.
Okay, so
I know this is a little out of order, but is it okay if I give a comment to
Sure.
my decision?
Are you elected?
Yes, you can.
I think earlier in the conversation, when we were before the vote, there was an undertone of questioning if there was a plan in place. And I don't want you to feel that as though there was ever any doubt that the district or the decisions made for our students, especially those with special needs, were ever being treated as second-class students, or we didn't firmly have an approach on what we were going to do to support them. And so all things considered, when we're talking about our roles and this decision in particular, I think that there's been a consistent undertone of questioning the transparency of those plans. And so for me, though I have full trust in our district's plan in supporting our kids with special needs, I want to be very clear that it is also the expectation that we show our community very firmly what our plan is, and that is part of, I think, of all of our hesitancy in that decision to begin with.
And I want to explain my no vote because I firmly believe that we needed more time to make an informed decision as to whether or not we needed to reduce positions, eliminate positions, and I don't think we were given that time.
thank you. Okay, we're going to move on because we have a staff report. So, Mr. Suarez, we're going to have you present on the LCAP.
Audience tonight. Actually, I am not going to kick it off, President Craighead. I'm going to ask my colleague, the brilliant Renee Arcus, to start us off, and then we will hand it off into 3 different people. So, thank you.
I'm going to put him in charge of all my introductions from here on out. So I have the pleasure of kicking off our LCAP process with our mid-year LCAP update, and that's what we're bringing to the board, the community, and our LBUSD staff tonight. All districts are required to present a report by February 28th of the mid-year LCAP update. It's required by California Ed Codes. We've included them on this slide, and it's based on 3 different components. The mid-year expenditure data, which I'll be talking about tonight, mid-year implementation data, and mid-year outcome data will all be discussed tonight by James and myself. There's a couple components of this. The mid-year expenditure data, they want to know how we're spending so far in our LCAP process. The mid-year implementation data is, are we implementing our programs that we've included in the LCAP as planned? Note that sometimes the expenditures might not match the implementation just based on when we do things. So a good example of that is some of our expenditures are related to our AP testing, and they happen later in the year. Some of our expenditures, I'm doing a mid-year, which kind of includes expenditures through December. But as you know, in July and August, we're kind of in summer programming, and a bulk of our expenditures happen through January through June. So that's why the state asks us to take different looks at how we're doing in the LCAP in many different forms. The last portion is the mid-year outcome data. That kind of runs the same. You have certain surveys that we put in place that James will talk about, and certain attendance rates that we have access to now, and those are available to report with mid-year outcome data. But there's several things that are still implementing, we're still doing, and we'll be able to bring back with our final report as to how we're doing on our outcome data. So I want to talk briefly about the expenditure portion of our LCAP. And one of the big components they like us to use is the budget overview for parents. It's one of the areas that's really clear as far as how we're spending our dollars in our LCAP, in our LCFF funds. So up here today, I have the 4 components that we've actually are going through. And these kind of align with what we do at budget adoption. If we have a revised budget that we bring to you guys in August, our first interim reporting, and our projection for what we will be reporting at our second interim. As you can see, most of the funds related to the LCAP, the big portion of them, the LCFF funds, have not changed dramatically. They've kind of been really consistent, and that's due to the unduplicated pupil count is one of the main things that can change in this year, because a lot of the other factors that money is based on have already been determined in previous years. And so when we come to the March is our kind of final, we've gotten all of our CalPADS data, we've got our unduplicated count rate, and that's the last effect that it can have on revenue in this year, and therefore our supplemental concentration grants. So this year is different in that I've been here for a couple years reporting on sometimes drastic changes, but the consistency of this year's LCAP and the funding supporting it are very consistent. So the last piece that I'm going to talk about is the LCAP expenditures. As we've discussed in the past, our LCAP is divided into 5 different goals: basic services, support to schools, academic progress, college and career readiness, and active engagement. And so this chart that I'm sharing with you today shows how we've been spending those funds. Again, we're about to go through what kind of programs we've implemented with those funds and realize that some of the expenditures here have just not had a chance to happen. They're expenditures through December, which is mid-calendar year, but as you can imagine, July and August are a little smaller in terms of us for how we operate. A lot of our budget comes between the months of September through June. So this is a large picture of how we're doing towards the LCAP, but as you're about to hear from James and team, we're headed down the right path. We're working things in progress, and we're making sure that the programs that we provided to you all last year and brought forth with the LCAP are in motion.
See, I told you she was brilliant. So, good evening. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce the team who's with us today. This is not a 1 or 2 person show, so I want to make sure that we give introductions today. In fact, we are a collaborative interdepartmental team, and I think that's really important to understand, that we all come from different perspectives in this organization, and this system is changing to make sure that we include voices that we may have forgotten about. In this case, we're not forgetting about it. So I'm here to introduce Renee Arcus, who you just heard from. She's from our business department. George Tsai over here on my right. And I always get a little nervous because I never know what George has up his sleeve. So I get a little nervous that he's behind me. I'd rather him be over here. But George Tsai is our State and Federal Programs Office. We have Dr. Lucy Salazar over here from our Equity, Engagement, and Partnerships Office. Tonight, Carmen Hernandez is not here, but she is also from the Equity, Engagement, and Partnerships Office. And we have Viva Mogi. And Viva, you're going to have to explain your wonderful title because I'm not quite sure what it is. No, not the business office, your policy and special strategic planning. So there's the interdepartmental team. I just want to make sure that they gave credit for this. So as Renee suggested, in the next several slides, I'll be focusing on this year's LCAP. How about I start there? I want to make sure I emphasize that this is current LCAP that we're implementing. So I want to make sure that it's very clear. We're going to take a closer look at each action to focus on the status of their mid-year expenditures and implementation. So first, let me announce that and I want to be very clear about this, all actions in the current LCAP have started and are in progress. That's important to know. So everything that we planned and everything that you approved last June has started and is in progress. So that's good news. So when you see these slides, you're going to see a lot of in progress, and that's because we are doing the work that you asked us to do. These next few slides will show the expenses incurred from July 2023 through December 2023, and it's denoted in millions of dollars. The use of the chart, as you see in this slide, is going to anchor the upcoming slides. Starting from the left column, all 5 goals of the current LCAP will be featured. The mid-year implementation for each action will be stated. As mentioned, all actions in the current LCAP are in progress. That said, you will notice 3 actions that are progressing, but we are leveraging another funding source to provide the same program that you approved. We will share these 3 in the upcoming slides. The next column is actions, which list all of the actions or programs and services that are in the current LCAP. And in the final column, you will see the corresponding amount of expenses for each action through December. So let's begin. I don't know why I'm aiming there. I know it's not there, but. So let's start with goals 1 and 2, basic services and supportive schools. Goal 1 has a budget of $106 million, and Goal 2 has a budget of $10.8 million. As you can see, all actions are in progress. I'm going to be repeating that. And the final column lists the amount spent for each of these actions. So please notice, action 1.2 has an asterisk with a small amount of expenses associated. Same with action 2.2. For both of these actions, we are leveraging other funds to provide the program that was originally envisioned in our LCAP. More specifically, action 1.2, technology, we are using expiring COVID relief funds to fulfill this action. For action 2.2, community services, we are using ELOP funding to provide for some site recreation aids. Here's our largest goal, action 3, academic progress. It has 13 actions or programs and services within it. It's a total budget of close to $680 million, by far our highest budgeted goal. So far, we have spent $231 million in this goal. As we look at that budget for expenses, please note that we have 6 months of expenses upcoming, and some of the actions you see may look low, but we are expecting to be on or just below, or just under budget for this goal. Action 3.12 has no expenses related to it. Here is my final example of utilization of other funds to fulfill this service. More specifically, tutoring is being budgeted through expiring COVID relief funds. Here are the final 2 goals. Goal 4, college and career readiness, with a nearly $20 million budget, and Goal 5, active engagement, with a $56.7 million budget. As you can see, all are in progress, and when you look at the total expenditures, we believe that we will be on budget. Now let's transition to the metrics. The next few slides list the metrics from the current LCAP. Please be reminded that some data are not available at the mid-year for this school year, so they will not be reported tonight. For example, we have several metrics that are summative in nature, like graduation rate. We don't have graduation rate right now because we're waiting for graduation to happen. You will see the metrics that have no mid-year data listed on an upcoming slide, so stay tuned for that. But for the next 4 slides, we will focus on the data points that we do have at this point of the year. This current slide is the available data points for Goal 1. Measure 1.2 measures the requirement for all students having instructional materials, which you, the board, certified on October 18th. Measure 1.3 shares that 98% of schools were found to be in good or exemplary repair, according to the Facility Inspections Report, as audited by an independent firm this summer and fall. Here are the metrics for Goal 2. And actually, for Goal 2, we have all the metrics for our mid-year report. The first 5 metrics for Goal 2 are data points from the spring administration of the core survey. A favorable response, as you can see in the slide, is defined as students or participants agreeing or strongly agreeing. As you know, the core survey is administered annually and focuses on social emotional learning and school climate, including safety, sense of belonging, and school connectedness. The final metric in Goal 2 is M2.6, and it represents the number of views for each parent university online workshop. From August to February, 1,615 views is the average number of views per workshop. And if you're wondering, that is up from last year at 871 views, and it also meets our 3-year goal. Congratulations, Parent University. Here are the metrics for Goals 3 and 4. I'd like to highlight both of Goal 4's metrics. M4.8 shows that almost 73% of LBUSD graduates of 2023 enrolled in a 2- or 4-year college, which is up from 2022 and met the 3-year LCAP goal. M4.9 shows that almost 58% of current juniors and seniors are currently enrolled in at least one AP course, which also met our 3-year goal. Finally, here is the last goal, Goal 5. This is current data as of last month. Looking at M5.3, chronic absenteeism rate, 23% mid-year data does not look great. However, I'm here to report that last year's data showed 37.2%. So we have to keep this in mind as we're looking at this data. This is data from January. As promised, here are the coming soon metrics. So this is a list of the metrics that are in the LCAP that we do not have current mid-year data for. Most of these metrics, you will notice, are spring administration. So I'm going to be transitioning from here, but I want to highlight that the current LCAP is in its final year of a 3-year implementation cycle. To this, we have reported the mid-year progress as you've seen. But now let's look ahead as we plan for the new 3-year LCAP in the coming months. This new LCAP will be in a similar format as approved by the state. But LBUSD anticipates entering into new goals and new metrics that are more closely aligned to the board and superintendent's goals. Also, as we think about programs and services in a holistic view, we must remember that continuity is important, as well as looking at expiring funds and what effective services those expiring funds have been provided these past few years with our expiring funds. These are all points of work that are coming in the months ahead, with a legal requirement to approve a budget and an LCAP by July 1st. With that, let me transition to looking ahead to the 2024-25 LCAP by asking Dr. Lucy Salazar to introduce an important engagement opportunity at lbschools.net/LCAP.
It's been a while, and
It's been a while. You're out of practice.
And we don't have any little neon letters or anything, so.
No, we're all out of practice.
No visual cues.
I think what we want to say is we're back. So thank you, Jim, and good evening to everyone. I know you've been excited and eagerly waiting our presentation this evening. And we are eagerly ready to share and want to be here with you as well. So Jim was so kind and stated that this is the end of the 3 years for the current LCAP. And as we look ahead for 2024, for the Local Control and Accountability Plan, also known as the LCAP, we want to share with you what it is that we are intending to do as we launch the new season for the budget. It's beginning now, and we're here to share both for our internal, that we have some in our audience, and also our external community that is watching us this evening, how it is that they will be able to provide input, but also where it is that they're going to be able to find information after this evening. And as you see on this slide, and as Jim mentioned, it will be on our webpage, lbschools.net/LCAP. We want to take this time to thank our community who's been engaging with us this evening on some difficult situations, but we also want to thank our team who Jim mentioned, and we look forward to hearing from our continued engagement from our community internally and externally. So we encourage you to, after this evening, encourage others within your circles, but also to those that are here present and those that are watching us this evening, to continue to encourage others to share their voice, share their thoughts, share their thinking, so that we can do better when we know better. So this is a call to action to get involved and to engage with us in the following ways. We will be using our thought exchange, and before I go into the thought exchange a little bit more, I just want to remind everyone of what thought exchange is in the event that they don't recall. It is a survey platform that we've used in the past. It allows us to anonymously share our perspectives and our thoughts. More importantly, it allows you to see the thoughts that others have added and have contributed, and to rate those thoughts so that the more highly rated thoughts surface to the top. With that said, it's familiar to many, but we will be in this new thought exchange that is now live on our webpage. We will be starting to gather feedback for what will become the year one of a 3-year plan known as the LCAP. This thought exchange, however, is going to be different in a few ways than you may have experienced it in the past. It's going to be a 2-tier thought exchange, with tier 1 being a survey, which is a new aspect of the thought exchange, and tier 2 being what we are more familiar with if you've used thought exchange before, which is the exchange of ideas. So let me share a little bit more of how it is that's and what will be asked in these survey questions, which are, again, the new part of the thought exchange. When you go to the thought exchange, in the first part of the thought exchange, as it says here on this slide, we are asking our community to help us prioritize current programs and services. So when you log on as a user, you're going to go through a survey, a variety of questions that will ask who you are in our district, demographic information, school that you're most closely aligned to, and then it's going to ask you to select up to 3, not 3, up to 3. So if you have less than 3, that's okay. But you're going to be asked to select up to 3 from a list of programs that they wish to help us prioritize and to enhance for the coming school year, so 2024, 2025. So there will be a list when you come on to Thought Exchange, and there's going to be a list of programs that are current in our district. So we're not saying that we're going to do away or get rid of any programs. We just need to hear from our community how it is that we can best use our funds with their input. So how can we enhance and how can we prioritize the current programs and services that we have? So let me give you an example of what some of those might be, because I see some faces and I think that might be helpful. So from the list of programs that you will see will be, for example, Black Student Achievement Initiative, with this brief description of what that is and what it is designed to support and do. English Learner Support will also be a program or services that will be listed. Other programs such as care or wellness centers will also be a program or service that will be listed. School-wide restorative justice implementation is another program or service that will be listed. And so from a variety of programs and services, we're asking our community to select up to 3 that they want to help prioritize in our process. All right. So after they or the users have an opportunity to help us prioritize programs and services, then will be what we they will also be asked to go through the next question that it will ask them is to give us input on through a confidence question. And this confidence question will help us gauge how strongly users or our community agrees or disagrees with how our district prioritizes resources and delivers success for all students. And I'd like to highlight that there has been a lot of care taken in the wording that we're using and the phrasing that we're using, particularly in the introduction. We'd like to, to say this because I think it's important, and we'd like to acknowledge Dr. Baker's input in this because in discussions it was highlighted that we need to make sure that our greater community finds that there's not a lot of educationese in our introduction, that it's also relatable to our monolingual communities, particularly as it might need to be translated because Thought Exchange allows for translation within the system, but also make sure that everyone in our community finds the wording and phrasing relatable to them, and so that there aren't any complexities within the Thought Exchange introduction. So like I mentioned, after they help us prioritize programs and go through a confidence question, there will be the more well-known or the idea exchange aspect of the Thought Exchange, which is what we call in Tier 2. And so what we're asking our community to give us feedback on is the question that's on the slide. So what else is important to know or consider as we plan to allocate resources and budgets for the next school year? So again, that will be the second tier of the Thought Exchange, with the first part or the first tier of the Thought Exchange asking them to help us prioritize current programs and services. So we look forward to the upcoming district parent meetings that we have scheduled, but we're also especially excited about student engagement sessions that we're going to be holding at all our high schools, and I'll share a little bit more in the next slide. Is it this big one? Maybe I do have to go here. Okay, there we go. All right. So again, just a reminder, where can everyone find this information? It will be on our webpage. lbschools.net/LCAP for LCAP. Alrighty, so on our website, there will also be an engagement calendar, and again, on that webpage. And so I want us to just highlight right now how it is that our schedule will look. We think of it as 3 phases, and I just want to highlight for you a little bit about what those phases will entail. So phase 1 is where, of course, tonight, actually as of this afternoon, the Thought Exchange was live. And so currently anybody that is in our community can log on to our webpage and will find the Thought Exchange live as of right now. And I've already shared with you that it's a 2-tier Thought Exchange with a survey and then the exchange of ideas, as we have known and used Thought Exchange in the past. And while our high schools will have face-to-face engagement opportunities with our team, all high schools, we're also asking at our elementary, middle school, and K-8 sites, we're asking for some of our staff, not necessarily the principal, but of course the principal is always included and is made aware. We're asking them to directly engage with parents within their community, understanding that schools are the support hubs for our families. It's where many of us, as a parent myself of LBUSD, it's where I go to get more information around my school site, where my children go. We know that's true as well for many other parents. And so in an effort to meet parents where they're at, we're leveraging our school sites to provide more information around this LCAP process, especially in ways that we are able to support. So for example, we're asking them to, number 1, hey, how about you encourage parents to engage in this Thought Exchange? That's one of the ways that we're asking. But we're also asking some of our facilitators in middle schools and elementary schools to do parent presentations around this LCAP process. And so we're supporting them with a slide deck that they can personalize for their own school site, so that their school communities can see how it is that LCAP comes alive within their own school sites. So we're really excited about that. It's something that we're trying. So there's all these efforts to engage in different ways that we are attempting this year, and we're really, really excited about that. But of course, I can't help saying and highlighting again that we'll be in engagement sessions with our high schoolers. So look forward to sharing how that is going and updates on that. In phase 2, in April and May, our team will engage with our parent advisory groups as we have in the past, and we'll have an opportunity to share with them some preliminary thought exchange data. Whereas in May, we'll be able to post and make public a draft of the LCAP, where we'll ask our community to provide us feedback on that draft. In phase 3, or what we are calling finalizing the LCAP, we'll have to go through some revisions of the LCAP, but then eventually we have a responsibility and duty to respond to any community feedback that is shared with us through this process. Where we will culminate is with a presentation where we will bring not only the budget but the LCAP for your review and potential approval. All right, so that is our engagement schedule and what it entails. And just at the end of all this, on behalf of my team, our district is really committed to implementing the LCAP to provide the necessary services for our students. As you heard in the mid-year review, all programs and services are in progress. And so we're very excited to be able to share that, as well as be able to share if monies are, if some of the expected or anticipated expenditures are not at where they should be, let's say, for mid-year, why that is that way. And so I just want to say thank you to both Jim and to Renee for being able to share that with us. But we acknowledge and we sincerely thank the hard work, the dedication of all LBUSD staff, to our parents who continuously support and show up in the best, in all the ways that they have and continue to do so. But more importantly, the resilience of our students who continue to reach for excellence. So I just want to say thank you for this time and open it to discussion or questions that you may have.
I do have a few questions. So is the survey available in Spanish and Khmer?
Yes, correct.
Perfect.
And as well as many other languages. So when, if I may interrupt you, so when you log on to the Thought Exchange, one of the first things that it'll ask is to select the language. And so they are able from a drop-down select multiple languages that include Spanish and Khmer.
And will this information be shared with parents at ELAC, DLAC,
Yes.
Sankofa Parent Village, CAC? Perfect.
Yes, so in phase 2, in particular, in April and May, that is the bulk of our engagement efforts will be to present to our parent advisory groups.
And again, what was the deadline for this?
The deadline for which part?
Completing the survey.
Oh, so March 31st is when the Thought Exchange will potentially, as of now, will close. So it opens today, and we have all the rest of this month and the whole month of March, where it will remain open. In those weeks leading up to the quote-unquote March 31st, the closing of Thought Exchange, our team is already scheduled to be in high schools. And we are also working with facilitators at middle schools and facilitators in elementary schools on the slide deck and how they can best present it. And we're making ourselves readily available to come and support them.
Okay, and then this question is, maybe you can answer it. I noticed that there was no money spent for tutoring in the mid-year, and so I guess how much was allocated, and when will tutoring be available for students?
So in the original LCAP, there was only about $2 million allocated for tutoring. However, we've been able to utilize other resources. So we've been doing things on campus for the past 3 years, utilizing our ESSER funds, and have enhanced them greatly. We've been able to provide students with not only access to tutoring contractors, but we've also utilized our staff in many ways to provide before and after school tutoring. I've heard of staff even tutoring during lunchtime when they have the availability, and so we have been actively utilizing our dollars. We just figured it was a much better way to utilize our expiring dollars on that purpose, because there is a component of ESSER dollars that talks about enhanced tutoring in our system. It doesn't mean that the LCAP wouldn't be there, and that's why we did include it. In the event that we were to fall short of some of our ESSER dollars as we kind of climbed down the end of those ESSER dollars, we could access those funds. So it doesn't mean that they're gone. It doesn't mean that we haven't done what we set out to do. It just means that we utilize a different resource to do this.
Renee, if I might, we allocated tutoring services to all of our elementary schools with outside agencies. of the 13,000 hours of tutoring that was allocated, we have utilized so far 9,000 hours to date. So roughly 4,400 hours remaining in that allocation for the remaining of the school year. Some sites that have spent all their hours or utilized all their hours, we've actually allocated additional hours to support additional tutoring.
Thank you for the update. Just a couple quick questions for me. I think Mr. Suarez, you went over some of the percentages in the mid-year update. I'm wondering if there's a way to identify which ones were meeting either targets or goals on. You brought up that even though the 23% chronic absenteeism rate isn't where we want to be, it's considerably better than it was last year. So don't have to go one by one, Mr. Suarez. Just how do we know that, as an example, how we're doing on the 60 on M2.4, 62% favorable response on the core survey? What's successful? What's good? What are we trying to get?
Sure. Well, to make it simple and plain, the LCAP that is posted has those benchmark. So we can go back to the LCAP that we benchmarked for 3 years and see exactly where those percentages look.
Okay.
So I'd be hesitant to try and do that all here,
Yeah.
but that's where you can find exactly that data
Perfect.
for each one of these.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
it.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions or? Okay, well, thank you very much. I know there's a lot of work that goes into the LCAP process, and we thank you for that.
www.lbschools.net/LCAP.
Great, you got the last word in. So next on the agenda, new business, but we have none, and then report of board members. So we will start with our student board member, Axel.
Good evening, everyone. As we head towards the end of our meeting, I would like to share some exciting news. First off, Malachi and Stephanie from Browning High School shared their experience about dual enrollment at the opening of a statewide conference in Long Beach. Adonaya Paul from Sato is the first African-American Long Beach Unified female student to be admitted into Caltech. Congratulations, we are all rooting for your success. I would also like to congratulate students from medical pathways across the district for successfully passing their certified nursing assistant state board exam and beginning their healthcare careers. On to some exciting news regarding sports. One of our Lakewood girls wrestlers, Ashley Wafer, is heading to state championship in Bakersfield. Polly and Milliken will also be represented at the state championship, so congratulations to them. On Saturday, Polly's boys basketball will be versus Marina at Edison High School at 3 p.m. Lakewood girls basketball versus Louisville will be at Colony High School at noon. Lastly, Lakewood boys soccer will be against Ediswanda at LBCC at 3:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. Mr. Miller?
Yes, so I'll be brief. I know I didn't get to thank her while she was here, but I wanted to thank America for giving a quick briefing on the great things that are happening at Cabrillo. You know, when they use that moniker, Success on the West, man, let me tell you, they are doing such a good job at Cabrillo in regards to athletics, in regards to academics, and the things happening at Cal J. I mean, I did a tour with Dr. Baker, when was this? Maybe about 2 months ago or so. And I've just been so impressed. And I'll call it an Ericism in the sense that I have always been a glass half full guy, where I want to continue to highlight the good things and the great things that are happening in West Long Beach and especially at our campuses. And I'm not going to pretend as though there aren't difficult times happening on the West as well, right? Where we know that there's instances of violence. We know that there are some of our students are really struggling, but there's also some really great things going on at Cabrillo. And I've just been so proud of Principal Knock, and all of the counselors and teachers there for all of the great work. One of the highlights that they brought up earlier today was in regards to their men's basketball team. And the coach there, Coach Spencer, is a longtime friend of mine. He was a young man who was actually in one of my mentoring programs some 10 plus years ago. And I was just so proud to see not only the man that he's become, but also the men that he's helping create, right? And so those are the things that just, when I think about like that culture that is being set at Cabrillo and on the west side of Long Beach, I'm just so proud of them. And so I wanted to make sure as we talk about all of the great things that's happening in our district that I give a special highlight to Cabrillo and the students there and the principal there, because I've just been very, very impressed with all the great work that's been happening over there over the past few months. Some of the other highlights that I wanted to bring up were centered around Black History Month. One of the things that I shared with Jill in our one-on-one is just my appreciation of all of the heightened level of emphasis as a district that we've taken around uplifting Black culture during this time of year. I brought it up in my board member report last, 2 weeks ago, in regards to some of my, what I think should be some of the district's emphasis around supporting Black student achievement. All things considered, as quickly as I say that, one of the organizations that I mentioned was actually going to be in contract with the district as a mentoring program and Project Optimism. So congratulations. My man-ish. But all things considered, there are a number of really great Black history programs that are going to be going on in my district. We have the event at Washington Middle School, which is going to be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Though it's not in my district, I was asked to attend. Herrera is hosting a Black History event on this Friday. Yep. And so I was invited to be in attendance there. So I'm looking to hang out with you. Yep. I'm looking to hang out with some of your folks. And then one of the, once again, really cool events that we've hosted for the 4th annual is going to be the Black History Celebration district-wide over at Long Beach Jordan, and that's this Saturday at 3 p.m. 2 p.m. When you stated the time, it made me think of the conflict between the Poly game. I'm like, God dog it. I'm going to have to figure that one out. But all things considered, I'm excited about all the events that we've been hosting. I am appreciative, once again, of the district not making Black history feel like it's just being marketed. Like this is an event centered around appeasement of a community, but more a part of the culture and fabric of the district. And I'm just very much, I can feel that, I can see that, and I'm appreciative of that. So thanks again to everyone who's been behind the scenes making that happen.
Dr. Benitez.
Yeah, with the goal of every month feeling like it's Black History Month, right, Mr. Miller? So I just want to thank the team for all the presentations that we received yesterday at our board workshop. I would encourage any of our community members to check out the video from yesterday. Gives a good sense of big picture where our district is going. Started off the morning with the 9 strategies that anchor our strategic plan and the vision that we have as a district. Then we worked our way into our first official report out from our data monitoring calendar. So we looked at the initial data for board goals 1 and 2. Mr. Otto made reference today that the board goals are on our website, as well as our guardrails and the monitoring calendar. So thank you to the team for getting us going with that. It's a heavy lift, right? We had a chance to brief with Dr. Baker today. Overall, I echo Mr. Miller and the good stuff that's going on, but also being mindful that there's a lot of other stuff that we just don't get to talk about. And so thank you to the team. And then we finished up the day anchored in equity with the beginnings of a equitable grading policy that we're going to be asked to consider. So super important work, super impactful work. And so I won't say much more about that other than it is really a good opportunity if you wanted to, if you haven't checked out our board meetings, if you wanted to share a link, yesterday would be a good meeting for you to check out and get a sense of where our district's going, where our district's been, and what our priorities are. So thank you to all the presenters and to the team and to my colleagues for engaging in yesterday's and today's conversations.
Thank you, Mr. Otto.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to mention Black History Month as well, and call everybody's attention to something that isn't district related, but is something that I'm involved in, and that is at the Aquarium of the Pacific. The Aquarium of the Pacific 4 years ago decided to start an African American Scholars Program, and we have been giving monies to up to 10 African American students each year, $10,000 each, to pursue careers in marine sciences. Now, the reason for this was because there seemed to be very, very few African Americans in marine sciences. And we noticed this, we talked about it, and at the Aquarium Board retreat several weeks ago, we had 3 of the scholars come and present to us, and I can't tell you how powerful it was. They talked not just about how it never occurred to them that they could be in this field, but that they could actually have careers. And the most moving thing was they talked about the sense of community that they had developed with the other African American scholars. And we're so proud of this program at the Aquarium. We had to do a little tweaking because when the Supreme Court decision came down about you can't call out ethnic groups and whatnot, was what are we going to do? And we've managed to come up with a way that allows us to continue doing exactly what we're doing. And I met these scholars. There was a dinner afterwards, and I talked to them. And we had actually hoped that one might be able to come down and talk to board members or here at the district, but the closest one at this point was in University of California, Santa Barbara. By the way, a number of these students are Long Beach Unified graduates, Cal State University graduates, and they're very high on Long Beach, and so they're great ambassadors for moving forward. I also wanted to celebrate the board workshop yesterday, in particular the strategic plan, which seems to be moving along really, really well. I think I've mentioned before, I've been involved in strategic planning processes before, but not like this. And the year-long process of getting the graduate, the adult, and the system portraits was well worth it. I think it's involved. It's got people continually involved, and what we're doing is planning not just to plan, but to plan for the people that will be doing this in the future. And so that was very inspirational yesterday. And I must say, it didn't occur to me until tonight. I looked over the materials for the meeting tonight, but it is local control funding formula time. And I didn't know it until he said the first time, but that James was going to be giving us that address ad nauseum. I don't mean ad for where we can get this information. And I know that when the local control funding formula was brought into being in California with Jerry Brown and Michael Kirst at that time, it was kind of revolutionary, because really what had happened was we talked about that kind of stuff, but Jerry Brown had this very Catholic idea of what he called singularity, and singularity was you do for the least, and that's important, and forget about everything else. And that's still what it is. I worry about the local control funding formula just because I think it's important to keep that focus. And I saw the budget numbers today in the newspaper that maybe there's a bigger deficit than we thought. Certainly a bigger deficit than the governor thought, and we've got to navigate our way through all that. And I'm not sure that this is the worst time. I think that may be next year, but it reminds us to keep our focus on that idea of the funding for local control funding formula and what it means and the participation of our community. It so emphasizes the voice that we need to give and we have been giving to our community. So I was unable to attend the program at Jordan High School a couple of weeks ago, but Dr. Baker had told me about this book, Punished for Dreaming, and I got it and read it, and it's a very, very powerful book. In fact, I've been looking for an opportunity to talk to Dr. Baker about it because it's really quite a book. And I thought I had the 3-day weekend and read it cover to cover and took a lot of notes. And it was a perspective that I hadn't seen before, and a very inspiring story. So that's my report.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez?
Thank you. Yes, so as we know, elementary and middle school students are completing the School of Choice application. And this is a very exciting time, but a very stressful time for students because they don't know if they're getting accepted into the school, the program, or the pathway of their choice. I did attend a few site nights this year, and I have to say they were all very well organized and attended. I was disappointed when I attended Choice Night at Poly. The staff there had worked very hard to promote their pathways and their programs, but representatives from the Choice office were discouraging families from applying to Poly. They were especially discouraging families from applying to specialized programs like the CIC and the PACE program. Families were being told that if they didn't live within the school boundaries, they would not get into the school. And they were doing this instead of encouraging our students to apply to the school they were visiting. Unfortunately, many of these families have also reported that they have experienced glitches that have not been able to complete their application with their phone devices. I guess the good news is that Jordan families have not experienced these enrollment obstacles. But I do want to apologize to the families who attended site night at Poly and any other school for that matter, who were discouraged from applying to the school of their choice. And I do want to encourage students to apply to the school, to the program, to the pathway that they feel will prepare them academically. Our job as educators is to provide you students with an educational opportunity, with education opportunities that will help you succeed. I'd also like to encourage parents who are experiencing enrollment issues to reach out to the district so that we can address these issues in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I would like to congratulate some of our staff on the 2024 Impact Awards by our Long Beach City Prosecutor's Office. So Scott Newman, Cabrillo's, since we're talking a lot about Cabrillo tonight, Cabrillo's Academy of Law and
Success
Justice
on the West.
teacher. There you go. Our own Dr. Aaron Simon, our Assistant Superintendent of School Support Services. Congratulations. Angel.
From Whittier?
From Whittier or Los Cerritos? Whittier. Okay, I have some not exactly accurate information, but congratulations. And Dr. Lashandra Prilo. our program administrator of Safe and Supportive Schools. So the awards recognize the individuals and groups who made a positive and significant impact in the city of Long Beach while working with the city prosecutor's office. And a quote by Doug Halbert, our city prosecutor: "These people set the standard, and Long Beach is a better, safer place because of them." So I think that's wonderful. The LA County Office of Education sponsored an academic decathlon, and our Lakewood High School students placed first for most improved score. So congratulations, and congratulations to the academic decathlon advisor, Ms. Magana. And they also received the top scoring team's super quiz, third place, Division III. And side note, I got to be a judge at the academic decathlon, which was held at my alma mater at San Gabriel High School in the San Gabriel Valley, and it was really fun to go back to a campus that I had not stepped foot on, and I'm going to talk about the next thing now. So we had our symphony concerts for young people last week. All of our 4th and 5th graders, and the symphony featured our LBUSD All-District High School Choir. They were fabulous, as always. I want to thank Renee Bhatia, Christine Whip, and there was also a special appearance by Mr. Petrie, who retired a couple years ago, but we don't let him go far. It was a very exciting event. They did music from a lot of different areas where the kids are familiar. They did some Star Wars music. It was the first piece that they played, and they had a couple of actors dressed as Star Wars characters, and when they brought out the lightsabers, the crowd went wild. They settled down after that, but it was a magical experience, and I'm so happy for our 4th and 5th graders. And then just this morning, there was a Black History Month celebration at Patrick Henry, which was fabulous. Mr. Zaid was in attendance too, and we had fun. There were all different grade levels represented. One of the first songs that they did was Lift Every Voice and Sing. Not only did they sing it, they signed it. Now, right? So impressive. This is a dual immersion school. These kids are bilingual, biliterate, and they are signing also. Multilingual and talented. So each grade level, either sang a song or recited a poem, or the first graders did a play about Rosa Parks. And then I'm going to say kind of a highlight, really, which is saying a lot because it was such a great celebration. There was a step group, step dancers, and this was a group of dancers across all grade levels, with the littlest one being a TK guy. I don't know if you could picture this. You've got to picture this. His little boots, his beret. I'll tell you, it was great. So congratulations to everybody. As I was walking out, I spoke with the choreographer. Turns out they just started and only had, you're not going to believe this, 4 rehearsals for that dance group. Only 4. Amazing, because they were doing some things that I assumed that they had been working together the school year. I didn't know it was just a recent, part of their program. Anyhow, just wonderful. I just want to reiterate, our gratitude for all the presenters and all the work that went into the workshop. We've talked about that, so I won't belabor the point. Anyhow, Dr. Baker.
Thank you. All of my items were covered tonight by Student Board Member Aguilar. Thank you, and Board of Education. So I have no additional report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that concludes our meeting for tonight. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is March 6th. So without any opposition, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.